Every day, 3,500 lives are lost on roads around the world. Driving can be dangerous, but there are simple rules we can follow that will make our roads safer and save lives. Slow down for kids. Don't text and drive. Always pay attention. Obey the speed limits. Stop when you are tired. Never drink and drive. Check your tires. Rules keep us alive.
Your life is in your hands. Respect the rules.
It started out pretty okay already. I dropped a bit because I made a few mistakes in the first heat. But towards the end, we started improving. In the second heat, we made less mistakes. And then in the third heat, I thought about my moves properly and stayed calm, and that gave us the win. Actually, I am quite surprised because in Adria we were quite far off the pace. And considering this is my first time on this track, I guess it's quite good. I feel quite confident because I know I can win this, and I know if I keep calm, I do my job properly, I can win.
Yeah, the qualifier was very good. I'm happy with it. The first heat on 6. Also okay. The second heat I could win it. Happy with that. And the last heat on 4th, which decided me to go on pole. Yeah, I respect to have the space, and yeah, I hope I'm fast tomorrow and can protect my first place. I'm not thinking about that, but I think my position can decide the championship standings from other drivers.
Obviously we have very good pace throughout the weekend already. Qualified third yesterday in qualifying, which was rather disappointing because it was all so close, just half a tenth of pole. And then today we started off the first heat from third, and Noah and Stan had a coming together, which unfortunate for them, but for me it was rather lucky, and after that it was just management. The second race I just took it easy, let them fight it out up front, finished in third, and then all I had to do in the third and last heat was just finish in third as well and take it easy. I knew Adria was going to be tough. All I wanted to do in Adria was just get solid points and be in a championship fight coming into Sunday's final, and that's exactly what I did. I knew it was going to be tough to beat Alex and Simo here because I know they're very quick around here. But I was confident, I knew I could do it, and yeah, got a little bit lucky in the heats, and I'm now very close in the championship fight, and I'll give it my all. You make it sound very easy, but it's going to be difficult. All of these guys are going to be very quick, and it's going to be a hard fight, and I'm sure whoever's going to win the final deserved it, and yeah, so obviously it's not going to be easy, but I'm sure I can do it.
Hello everybody and welcome back to Karting Genk, the home of champions. This is the race that everybody has been waiting for in the Gearbox fraternity in 2020. It is the European Championship second round and therefore the race that will decide the KZ and KZ2 European champions of 2020. We will also today have the second round of 3 of the FIA Karting Academy Trophy. But what a better place to crown a champion, in fact, 2 champions here today, than the home of champions. Karting Genk in Belgium, an amazing facility with so much history in the sport. This place is Genesis as far as the magnificence and grandeur of the careers of so many big drivers and big names in the sport. Be they have gone on to the worlds of Formula 1, Le Mans, Indianapolis, Formula E, or touring cars on the world stage. Many of the biggest names in the sport cut their teeth on this very tarmac. And it's great to see that the sport is still alive and kicking here at Karting Genk, even despite the current world pandemic situation. We will race as long as we are safe and sound and we are following the correct protocols and guidelines. We will continue to battle for the championship. Jake Sanson here, overlooking the start-finish straight as we battle around this circuit. And it's definitely going to be an exciting battle. We will start with KZ2, where we have a head-to-head duel for the ultimate prize. Victor Gustafsson of Sweden has 42 points. Simone Cunati of Italy has 38. They are 14 and 10 points respectfully ahead of the rest of the competition. Paavo Tonteri has 28, Giuseppe Palomba with 24, and Leonardo Marsiglia on 21. They are the only remaining drivers now who have a mathematical chance of winning the title, although realistically, it looks as though it'll be a straight fight between Victor Gustafsson and Simone Cunati. But it's none of them on pole position. It's that man, the German David Treveloff. Then Simone Cunati second. Paavo Tonteri will be third. Victor Gustafsson will be in 4th place on the grid. Leonardo Marsiglia will line up in 5th position alongside Christian Habulin. Then it will be Senna van Welstein alongside Gilles Stadsbader as they go together on the grid. And Tom Lullet will be on the grid ahead of Jean Nomblot. Then it will be Robert Kinderwarter and Lorenzo Giannoni, Thomas Landais and Koen Dawn, Arthur Carbonell and Marco Valenti. Giuseppe Palomba will be beside Valentino Fritsch. Then Yannick Himmels and Kobe Powells. Lev Lomko alongside Filippo Berto. Robin Gredum and Jesper Sjoberg from Marcus Funda and Hubert Petit. Then it will be Thomas Imburg and Damian Valère, Thomas Mischik, David Yaromin, then Lucas Vladic and Tim Verelst. So a full capacity of 32 drivers making their way to the starting grid. And they will race for honour and the pride of their nations and their teams as they quest for the European title in KZ2. Many great names have come before them. Since the turn of the century, there have been many astonishing drivers to claim the KZ2 crown in the European Championship. Only one driver has won it more than once over the last 20 seasons, and that man is Fabian Federer. He won't win it again today because he's in KZ. So we are going to see a brand new champion in the European KZ2 Championship Brigade. Someone is about to make history and join an illustrious group of names. Valerio Sapere, Alessandro Seferella, Robert Dirks, Manuel Casalio, Ricardo van der Ende, Eric Janis, Ernst Behrens, Thomas Knopper, Tony Lavanon, Angelo Lombardo, Paolo De Conto, Fabian Federer, Simas Jodversis, Emil Antonsson, Andrea Dale, Joel Johansson, Leon Köhler, Adrien Renaudin, and last year's European champion, Emil Skaras. But one of these drivers is going to become the 19th champion in the 20th champion, I should say, in 21 years, as only one, as I mentioned before, has got the job done twice, and that was Fabian Federer, who did it in 2011 and then again in 2016 before stepping up to KZ. But these 32 drivers will battle for supremacy, and they all have a very good chance of coming through at the end of this one with a race victory. It's so even and hotly contested in KZ2 this year. But even outside the top 5 drivers in the championship, there are many drivers who could stake a claim for the top spot in terms of the points tally. Tom Lullet is running very well in the points at the moment on 14, and he is in 6th in the standings, tied on 14 points with Davide De Marco, who sadly is not here, was not able to attend due to the COVID-19 outbreak, and therefore it is Tom Lullet who could well make his way into the top 5 in the European Championship. Could even make it all the way to 3rd, the way that the points are currently worked out. Giacomo Polini struggling this weekend, but has 13 points left over from Adria, so he has a good chance. And then Seta van Waalstein and David Trevelov have both been scoring good points through the qualifying heats, so they are now both on 10 in the European Championship. They could get as high as third in the Drivers' Championship if everything falls their way. It's a tough battle. Only 15 drivers can score points in a championship final. And that means that there are 25 points available for the race winner, 20 available for second, 16 for third, 13 for fourth, 11 for fifth, 10 for sixth, all the way down to 1 point for 15th place. And that means that there's an amazing battle ahead of us. David Trevelov does indeed have the pole position, his first in the KZ2 FIA Karting paddock. A great performance after his very even, consistent run in the qualifying heats yesterday. He managed to grab a win, a fourth and a fifth. And that was enough in a very competitive day at the office yesterday at Genk to grab himself pole position for this KZ2 final. But the man alongside him on the front row of the grid is Simone Cunati, who at the beginning of yesterday looked as though it was going to be a tall mission to take on and challenge Victor Gustafsson. That has all changed now. After a difficult day at the office for the Swede yesterday, he did take a win, only after an exclusion, or a penalty, I should rightfully say, for Christian Habulin. But then a fifth and an eighth have made it very tough for the Swede to hang on to his advantage. His 6-point lead has been cut to 4, and his main championship rival is ahead of him on the starting grid. Simone Cunati starting second, Gustafsson starting fourth. It's a very simple battle between these two. Whoever beats the other for the race victory wins the title. There are 4 points between them, and there is a 5-point difference between the winner and second place in the final. So if Gustafsson beats Cunati to the victory, he becomes European champion. If Cunati beats Gustafsson to the victory, he will get the job done. If neither of them win, Cunati has to outscore Gustafsson by 5 points to become European champion. It is such a close fight. And there are so many drivers who could make a stake in this one. If Gustafsson and Cunati both have a problem, then Paavo Tonteri, who starts third on the grid, is right there to try and snatch the European Championship away. It's not just those two who can win the title today. Even Giuseppe Palomba and Leonardo Marsiglia, the two Birolart drivers from Italy, have an outside chance of getting the job done. They have 24 and 21 points respectively. And if things go wrong for the three men ahead of them in the title race, it could all change. And this is gearbox racing in the FIA. As we know from Sarno last year, anything can happen. It's not decided on pure speed. It's decided on strength, stamina, cunning, guts, determination, racecraft, and pure ability. You've got to get everything to work. It has to be 100% perfect, and you've got to be absolutely on your A game. Every driver in this field knows how hard it's going to be. They came through the 3 qualifying heats yesterday with so much intensity. Great racing, amazing driving, spectacular overtakes. But now it's time to battle. And they have one last race to crown the European champion of 2020. Only 5 men can still do it. Victor Gustafsson, Simone Cunati, Paavo Tonteri, Giuseppe Palomba, and Leonardo Marsiglia. They are the only 5 drivers now, mathematically, who could become European champion today. But there are 32 of them out there who want to end their European Championship on a high. And in pole position, David Trevelov of Germany has an amazing chance to take his first FIA Karting race win in the season finale of the European Championship. And after yesterday, he is in a very good shape to do it. The SRP Racing Maranello has been very strong around this Karting Genk circuit. He was steady and consistent yesterday, never outside the top 5. And that's how you win races. Keeping it strong and keeping it on the island. But the 3 title contenders at the top 3 places of the championship are around him. Cunati is to his left, and Tonteri and Gustafsson are directly behind him. Leonardo Marsiglia is up in 5th place. It's a tough race ahead for Giuseppe Palomba, who will start in the midfield. But it's not over yet. If he can make enough overtaking moves at the start, then Palomba still has a chance in this European title fight. It ain't over till the fat lady sings, as they say, but she has only got about 23 laps to get those vocal cords warmed up. So David Trevelov and Simone Cunati on the front row of the grid. Paavo Tonteri and Victor Gustafsson on the second row. There are threats behind them as well, of course, not just from Leonardo Marcellia, but on that sixth position on the grid as well. Christian Habulin, the Croatian, who did an absolutely sensational job in the first heat yesterday, decided to take the gamble and go on to slick tyres when everybody else was on wets. It nearly worked. He almost got the victory. And as he was going for the lead rather dramatically, a wheel got onto the wet stuff and he ended up drifting into the side of the Praga of Tom Lulet, who ended up off the circuit in the final turn, and it cost Christian Habulin the victory. He crossed the line first, but a 10-second penalty dropped him to 8th. But we now know that Habulin is a serious threat in this race. 6th on the grid, he can win from there, and he's got the ability to get the calculations just right. But on the 4th row of the grid, there are two big names as well. Senna van Waalstein, one of the serial overtakers in this KZ2 field. There is no move he won't try, and there is very nearly no move that won't work for him. He is doing a fantastic job thus far, and from the inside row of the 4th row, Senna van Waalstein has a great chance to reach the podium today. As does the man alongside him, the home favourite, Gilles Stadsbader, for the Tony Kart Racing team. Having made the switch to gearbox racing at the beginning of this year, he has found himself a very neat home with the Tony Kart factory team. And he's already settled in very nicely indeed. And he is ready for the challenge that awaits him here at Karting Genk from the 4th row. To round out that top 10, it's a pair of Frenchmen. The Praga Racing factory driver of Tom Lulet, who has been amazing over the course of yesterday. So unlucky. He had at least 2 victories taken away from him yesterday through difficult circumstances, and could well have been on the front row of the grid for this one. But he is there on the 9th position of the grid with a fast kart underneath him and the ability to make progress. Alongside him on the grid, the rather unfortunate Jean Nomblot. He starts 10th on the starting grid, again with lots of opportunities yesterday to start higher on the grid for this final, snatched away cruelly by fate. But he has the ability to come back into contention. And there are so many names down this field. The 346 there, Robert Kindervaart, has been very consistent, as has the wild card beside him, the 388 of Lorenzo Giannoni. He's been very strong over the course of yesterday too. And then the likes of Thomas Landijs and Koen Doorn on the road just behind them. Koen Doorn, the independent racer, doing a grand job here at Karting Genk. Track knowledge definitely counting in his favour. And Thomas Landijs, the 392 for Birolart, a wild card this weekend. But he's been so ruthless in the middle of the field. Behind them is a pair of Sodi karts for Arthur Carbonell and Marco Valenti. Now, for Arthur Carbonell in particular, his starting position is pretty spectacular. He had a problem in time qualifying and had to start every single race yesterday from 32nd and dead last. But he has fought his way back to 15th after some amazing overtakes yesterday. There's more to come from him, and he could well get himself far inside the top 10, possibly even the top 6. Marco Valenti, steady and consistent as a rock yesterday, 12th, 14th and 21st in the wet-soaked heat at the start of the day. He's very solid and consistent. He's got a good chance to move his way forward. A pair of Birolarts on the grid behind, and the most significant one is the 301, the man 4th in the championship at the moment, Giuseppe Palomba. He's got a lot of karts to overtake. Let's not beat about the bush. But alongside him, he has Valentino Fritsch for the Birolart KSW squad, the satellite team from Austria. And both of those drivers will want to charge their way forward. Tucked in behind them, some big names as well. The SRP Racing Maranello of Yannick Himmels, the 394. Similar machinery to that of the pole sitter David Trevelov. And then the 386 in there of Kobe Powells, the man who was the star of the show here 2 years ago in the FIA Karting Academy Trophy when he won on home soil. He needs to channel that energy again as he makes his first bout in KZ2 racing. This is his first ever KZ2 final in the FIA paddock. And behind them we have Lev Lomko and Filippo Berto. Robin Gledum and Jesper Sjoberg line up behind them, with plenty of talent in behind as well. The likes of Funda, Petit, Imborg, Valar, Mishik, Yaromin, Vladic and Verelst. In less than a minute, the European KZ2 Championship Final will be underway. 23 laps of the circuit, which means a grueling and very tough 31.28 kilometers. You need to be on your A game to win this race. And to challenge on a circuit like this, you need to be absolutely at the peak. The drivers are pushed away. It's time for the European Championship Final in KZ2. David Trevelov is in pole position from Simone Cunati. Paavo Tonteri and Victor Gustafsson on the second row from Leonardo Marcellia and Christian Habulin. Senna van Waalstein and Gilles Stadsbader. Tom Lulette and Jean Nomblot from Robert Kinderwater and Lorenzo Giannoni. Thomas Landijs and Koen Doorn from Arto Carbonell and Marco Valenti. Giuseppe Palomba and Valentino Fritsch. Yannick Himmels and Kobe Pauwels. Lev Lomko and Philippe Alberto. Robin Glenham and Jesper Sjoberg from Marcus Wunder and Hubert Petit. Thomas Imborg and Damian Valar. Timo Smišek, David Joromin, Lucas Vladic and Tim Verelst. 23 laps of the Karting Genk circuit, the home of champions. And in a little under 15 minutes time, when the 23 laps are completed, we will crown a new European champion. Palomba's gone off the road on the formation lap. Palomba goes off there at the hairpin. He has brought it back onto the circuit, but that is drama on its own as Giuseppe Palomba goes off onto the grass and gets it going again. Goodness me, the race hasn't even started and we've got drama here. He has rejoined the circuit, thank goodness. But that would have been heartbreak in this final race of the weekend for the KZ2 Brigade. They have 2 formation laps for this final. So now it's time to talk you through the championship ramifications. Victor Gustafsson leads with 42 points to Simone Cunati on 38. 4 points between them and 5 points separate the drivers in first and second at the finish of the race. If Cunati beats Gustafsson, he will win the European Championship. If Gustafsson beats Cunati, he will be European champion, with Paavo Tonteri desperately trying to get himself back into contention in third position on the grid and in the title fight. And David Trevelov on pole position could be the danger man that upsets the apple cart for big time. So this is going to be a dramatic final, whatever happens. Can Victor Gustafsson channel the dominant streak he showed at Adria 3 weeks ago and get himself back to the front? Or is Simone Cunati on the unstoppable, it seems, Birolart TM Racing package going to show his cards to the mast? If it finishes like this, with Cunati in second and Gustafsson in fourth, Cunati is the European champion. It's going to be very, very tough. Either Victor Gustafsson is going to be the second Swedish driver in as many seasons to become KZ2 European champion after Emil Scalas got the job done last year at Sarno in Italy, or we're going to see Simone Cunati become the first Italian to get the job done since 2016 when Fabian Federer took his second European KZ2 crown, and to join an amazing list of contemporaries who have got the job done. Valerio Sapere, Alessandro Sperella, Manuel Cosalio, and of course, Paolo De Conto and Angelo Lombardo. Is Simone Cunati going to be part of that incredible list of drivers, or is it going to be Victor Gustafsson, the current championship leader? Can David Trevelov from pole position get his first ever FIA Karting final victory in KZ2? Or is Paavo Tonteri from third position in the Tony Kart for SC Performance going to cause the biggest upset in recent KZ2 history by beating them all? And what can Leonardo Marcellia do from 5th? And what can Giuseppe Palomba do from 15th? Outside bets for the title, but anything's possible. We've got Kobe Pauwels getting out of the kart. Kobe Pauwels is out of the kart in the Birolard in the middle of the field. So it looks like they're going around for another formation lap. Goodness me, the tension is already fever pitch. And with Kobe Pauwels having a problem, he's not the only one. That's Thomas Landijs in the mix there as well. The seemingly bulletproof Birolart TM Racing package has come unstuck for 2 of the wildcards. Kobe Pauwels and also for Thomas Landijs. Kobe Pauwels is desperately trying to get the kart restarted. Landijs appears to have done so, but you've got to push start these karts. So Kobe Pauwels is desperately trying to gain the momentum to do it. He's done it, thank goodness. Kobe Pauwels really wanted to put on a show on home soil, and now he's going to be able to. Thank goodness for that. Wow, there's already enough tension and drama to cut the tension with a cricket stump at the moment. It's absolutely astonishing. And this KZ2 European Championship battle is absolutely fever pitch. The war between Gustafsson and Cunati is all any KZ2 fan wants to see today. And boy, are they going to see it in fine style. Can David Trevelov grab his first win though? Christian Habulin could be a factor on the outside of the third row. And then there's the likes of Senne van Waalstein and Gilles Stadsbader, the Dutchman and the Belgian, on the fourth row of the grid, who know this place as if it was their back garden. So the drivers bring themselves back onto the starting grid for the second attempt at the start. Standing starts, of course, in the gearbox fraternity, which is always a spectacular sight. These karts, 125cc engines, amazing shifters that charge them up towards the first corner. And the power to weight ratio and the speed off the line is comparable to that of a Bugatti Veyron. And then consider that they're not even strapped in. They've got to just banzai through and hope it all goes okay. Now, Landijs and Kobe Powells, I think they'll have to start the race from the back of the grid now. Yes, they will. And Kobe Powells is in trouble again by the look of it at the back. He's trying to get the kart to the start line. But this is a problem for the Belgian, and all the drivers are there on the grid warming up their engines. It's a long hold for them, but we're ready to start. Who will be European champion in KZ2? Let's find out! It's a great start by Gustafsson. He launches forward to third as the drivers come up to the first corner. Gustafsson tries to get straight in there with Gennady, and they bang wheels. Gustafsson's through. The Swede has got into second place past his Italian rival. Gustafsson takes back the advantage in the championship fight as he tucks in behind Trevelov. And Gustafsson, with absolute guts and determination, forces his way into second place past Gennady. And we've lost several drivers on the run down to the first corner already. Several drivers going off and coming back onto the road again. But the big news is that Gustafsson has got himself in a second place past Gennady. Whoever beats the other will be European champion. It's going to be so tight, and with Trevelov leading, Gennady has to pass Gustafsson to beat him in the title fight. Some great squabbles in the midfield as drivers trying to pick their way through on the opening lap. And at the end of it, Trevelov has the most incredible advantage he could have asked for. Trevelov leads, Gustafsson, Gennady, Habulin is in fourth place now from Pavel Tonteri, a great run from the Croatian. And now comes Tonteri on the inside, tries to get past, but he can't get by. So a very tough opening gambit then from Habulin. He's not going to let Pavel Tonteri get a cheap overtake. Tom Lulet tries to get his way through on the outside. Senne van Waalstein and Leonardo Marcellia are queuing up for their own moves as Habulin has a look and a dive up the inside from Tonteri to protect from Tom Lulet's Praga. He's not going to let that one slide either. But you're looking at the potential European champion. Victor Gustafsson currently has the lead. And all he has to do is stay in front of Simone Gennady. And the deed is done. Lulet dives up the inside, but it compromises him. Van Waalstein gets through and makes up the place in the process. He manages to get Tonteri up the inside. That's a big lunge from Giannone, and Tonteri gets down the order. Tonteri is impeded. And that's a big problem for the Finn, because that almost certainly takes him out of the running for the championship. Trevelov is going to move up to third in the standings the way things currently stand with his lead. But Gustafsson and Gennady, with assistance from the Croatian Christian Habulin, they are trying to catch him. With Senne van Waalstein now up to fifth ahead of Lulet, Marcellia, Nomblo, Carbonell, Giannone and Pavel Tonteri now down to 11th. Make that 12th as Valenti gets by. So we're on lap 3. Giannone has the warning flag. Not entirely sure what the issue is there, but he's clearly impeded in some way. So Van Waalstein runs in 5th position. Lulet in 6th place. Looks like a little battle taking on there. Gennady's into second. Gennady's into second place. That changes everything. And Gennady's drifted wide as Habulin comes through. Gustafsson's got on the inside of Gennady. Gennady now trying to fend off from Van Waalstein. So the gap between them is now 7 points in the championship fight, as Van Waalstein desperately tries to get through on the inside of Gennady, but Habulin getting past both of them opens the door for Gustafsson, and Gennady is now about 6 kart lengths back. For one corner, Gennady had the European title in his hands there, having got past Gustafsson, but now he's got to fight back again as Marcellia dives up the inside of Lulet and gets through on the Praga. While Trevelov is having a fairy tale race up front, he doesn't need to do anything other than just keep moving around the circuit as he goes in the lead with no major issues. A big lunge up the inside then from one of the Sodis. That's up to Carbonell. He gets through on Jean Nomblo. So into the hairpin at the end of the lap once more. And Jean Nomblo having to settle himself. Look at the lead that Trevelov is building over Christian Habulin, but the battle for the title is 3rd and 4th. Gustafsson and Gennady. But getting past Gustafsson now is not going to be enough for Kunati because they've slipped to third and fourth. If they were second and third, it would be enough. But Kunati not only has to pass Gustafsson, but he also has to pass Christian Habulin now if he wants to be European champion. So this is going to be a tough ask for the Italian in fourth place. And he's urging himself on. A little tap of the steering wheel. That's like, come on, we can do this. We're so close. But they need to get close to the TV car of the Croatian in second position. A little bit of defensive driving from Gustafsson. He just pulls across the line a little bit to thwart any opposition from Kunati. He cannot afford to let the Italian come by. You need to be mature about this. You need to be very focused and calm. Third position is enough for Gustafsson to be European champion. He doesn't need to push too hard here. He just needs to keep Kunati behind him. Van Waalstein is there in fifth place. Marcellia in sixth from Tom Mulet. Arthur Carbonell in eighth position from Giannoni, Nomblo, Valenti. Palomba's up to 12th, but that's not enough progress to battle for the title. But he has got past Paavo Tonteri, and that will close him up in the championship fight. Up the inside comes Tom Mulet. Good move there on Leonardo Marcellia, as the Italians' chances of winning the title are slowly fading away, although he is set to overtake Giuseppe Palomba in the title fight, remaining in the top 5, but not rising any higher than that. So Trevelov still leads, Habulin still second, Gustafsson and Kunati now having to get into their rhythm, but Senna Van Waalstein is closing in. Now he's the real danger in this race. The Dutchman is closing in on Kunati. If he makes a lunge up the inside of the turn 1, it could be game over for Kunati, and he's going for it, and he's through! Senna Van Waalstein gets into P4. As I say that, he makes the lunge, and this has made the championship fight for Kunati that much harder to achieve. So with Van Waalstein in the way, it's looking rosy for Victor Gustafsson. And he has the nerve and the audacity to gesture to Van Waalstein. It's gone terribly wrong for Kunati. Lulet's gone through, and he's tangled! He's tangled there with Marcellia! Simone Kunati's chances of winning the European Championship are over! It's done! It's over! Victor Gustafsson is the European champion. He cannot be caught now. Oh, heartbreak for Simone Kunati. He came so close. He did everything he needed to do up until this point. But now his dreams are over and the pressure's off the Swede. Gustafsson cannot be caught. Whatever happens in the championship fight now, he cannot be caught. The only man who can take it away from him at this stage is Paavo Tonteri, and he is down in 12th. So Gustafsson in third place has no more pressure on his shoulders. He can enjoy the race now. He can settle into a rhythm. Third place will be more than enough. And Kunati is out. Devastating. So close. And that is such a disappointing end to the title fight for Simone Kunati. History repeats itself. He was denied in 2019 in similar fashion. And into the pits to retire comes Leonardo Marcellia, the man he tangled with. What a disaster. What a heartbreak for Kunati. But he came so close. And so now there will be a back-to-back Swedish European champion as Mishik makes his move on the inside line to try and get on the inside of Thomas Landijs. But it hasn't quite worked out. So Trevelov leads, Christian Habulin second, from Gustafsson in third. Van Waalstein is now fourth from Tom Mulet and Arthur Carbonell. A title may have been decided, but there's still a race to win. And every driver on this grid that's still racing wants to win it. What a sad sight that is, though. Simone Kunati's Birala on the infield. His dreams of winning the European title in 2020 dashed. But there is the man who's going to get it done. The Swede Victor Gustafsson. He just needs to finish now. He's ahead of every one of his championship rivals. The only man in front of him is David Trevelov, who with this victory will move up to third in the European standings. That is an incredible achievement for the young teenage German who's been developing so rapidly in KZ2. This man has the potential to go all the way to the top. He's got all the makings of a future world champion in KZ. He just needs to keep this bandwagon rolling. His development shift has been extraordinary in the last 12 months. And it all started on home soil last year at Wackersdorf. He used his local knowledge of the track to perfection, and he has started to become a little bit more authoritative in the wheel, a lot more determination, and plenty of good racecraft. And his technical skill is tough to beat now. next year could be Trevelov's year to become KZ2 European champion. And it won't be long before he's thinking about the gearbox title of the world. There's Christian Habulin. I'm so impressed with him this weekend as well. The Croatian has been very strong and solid all weekend. From that magnificent gamble of his yesterday to go on to slicks when everyone else was on wets, which nearly paid off into a win, and yet he hasn't let the penalty get to him. He has pushed himself back into position, and he's now in second this weekend. And I think that will be the first time in a long time that a Croatian has been on the podium in a KZ2 FIA karting event. That will be a big moment for Croatia and a big moment for the team, TV Kart, and for Christian Habulin as well. But it looks as though Victor Gustafsson might not be on the podium here. Senna van Waalstein and Tom Lulet are closing in on him. And as we complete lap 11 into lap 12, Gustafsson's third place is under threat. Here comes Van Waalstein. He's going to make the bid on the inside. No! It's taken out Lulet as well. Van Waalstein tries his best to find the gap, but it was just too much. Oh, Senna, you tried so hard there to make the gap open, but Gustafsson wasn't going to let it happen. And look, you can see that Tom Lulet's Praga is damaged at the rear. You've got to feel for him as well. He's had such a good weekend. A chance of a victory taken from him. And he's another man who's got a great chance of being world champion someday. There's Kobe Powell's battling away with Thomas Mischik. So he's charging his way forward. But that's now two more effective retirements. Tom Luletti's out of the race for definite. But I have a feeling that Senna van Waalstein is going to carry too much damage in the Sodi kart to continue. There he is coming through the picture about nowish. Oh, it's a long way back, further back than I thought it was. I do apologise. But Van Waalstein is now a long way down the order. The other man who got impeded in all of that, by the way, is Gilles Stadsbader. The Belgian had to try and avoid the accident, and he's lost several places now. He's down to 20th as a result of all of that. So unfortunate for Gilles Stadsbader as well. So there at the front of the queue is Palomba. He's up into 5th place now out of all of that. So Giuseppe Palomba is now tied on points with David Trevelov. So this is all of a sudden coming back to Palomba. If Gustafsson were to have a nightmare now, Palomba might still get a chance of this. I said that Victor Gustafsson had won the title, but I genuinely didn't think Palomba was going to make as much progress as he has. However, Palomba is now in 5th behind Artur Carbonell. If he can get past him, it's going to be a tall order because he's a long way back from the Frenchman. But if Palomba, currently in 5th, is able to make his way closer to the front 4, and Gustafsson has an issue, then there is still a chance for Palomba. The title's not won yet. Giuseppe Palomba has drawn an opportunity to win from the jaws of defeat here. Up the inside to defend Paavo Tonteri. That wasn't an overtaking move at all from Valentino Fritsch. He wasn't close enough to Marco Valenti. He's just trying to cover the line of the Finn behind him into that hairpin, because once you overtake there, that compromises you for a further 3 corners. There is Artur Carbonell, 4th position in the Sodi kart. This is a great comeback for him. He started last in the heats yesterday, and he is now in P4. What a drive. But Victor Gustafsson is on the verge to become the 2020 FIA Karting European champion in KZ2. He just needs to keep going for these last 9 laps. And what a result that would be, not just for the Swede, but also for the team, the new Leclerc by Lennox Racing squad, the merger between the Charles Leclerc brand and Jordan Lennox Lamb's racing team has been an incredible success story in 2020, an all-new team for this season, and it looks like they are about to pick up their first FIA European title in their first season. There are not many teams in karting history that can say they've done that. What an opportunity this is for Victor Gustafsson, and he knows that he doesn't need to push the guys in front. He doesn't need to win the race. He's got to focus purely on the title. And there's Palomba in 5th position, the 301. He still has an outside bet, but it is a tough ask now for him to win the title. He's just got to keep hungry and stay focused now, essentially. Paavo Tonteri working hard in here behind Marco Valenti, and Hubert Petit right in the mix there as well. The hairpin. Onto the back straight. Tonterri is third in the points coming into this weekend. He's looking likely to drop to fifth if he can't make more progress. And he's struggling at the moment to deal with Marco Valenti. And this is going to open up a chance for Hubert Petit. The Frenchman will want to come by the Finn as well. This is how important consistency and rhythm is in KZ2. You've only got 2 weekends to get this right. So it's going to be a very tough mission for all of the competitors out there. But Tonterri has been working harder than most. And he's still struggling to make his advantage count as he runs here in 10th position, in behind Marco Valenti. Well, this is such a tough battle. He's trying again on the inside. He just can't find the space. Valenti is not giving him any room at all to play with. And there's nothing that the Finn can do. He can't get close enough to make a move in the next few corners. Meanwhile, we've got a nice little tussle here. This is Giannoni trying to keep back. Oh, a rather feisty Valentino Fritsch. The German trying to come through. So some great midfield battles. From about 5th position downwards, this race is about pride and honour. They all want to win at the front of the field, so they're going to have to push it with full determination. 4 retirements: Damien Vallard, Simone Cunati, Leonardo Marsiglia and Tom Lulette. But Cunati is the most painful of all. The man who so could have become European champion. All he had to do essentially was beat Trevelov off the line. He couldn't do that. And it's all faded away to nothing. Gustafsson is on the verge of clinching this European title by 20 points. But at the start of the race, there was only 4 points between the 2 title contenders. That just shows you anything can happen in KZ2, and it always does. Look at this traffic jam that's developing behind Lorenzo Giannoni. There's 4 very frustrated motorists trying to find anything but the hard shoulder at the moment. But that is exactly what Giannoni is giving them. He's keeping his car absolutely planted. 7th place seems to be the best he thinks he can get from this one. So he's put the brakes on and thrown the anchor over the side of the ship. He wants to keep his position. A big dive from the inside from Fritsch. He's getting very frustrated. And Paavo Tonterri at the back of the queue now is also very frustrated. Now Gustafsson has been reeling in Christian Habulin. He wants to really make this a glorious victory in the championship fight. He may not have to win the race, but 2nd is still possible, and Christian Habulin knows it. But even a 3rd place finish would be pretty spectacular for Christian Habulin and the TV car team. These little minnows who have come to battle with the big boys. Christian Habulin has put on a great show here at Karting Genk, and I would love to see him on the podium. He's one of the most hard-working youngsters in the KZ2 category, Christian Habulin. And he really does have a good chance of a podium here. But Gustafsson wants to take the place away. That would still give him a podium because he would only drop from 2nd to 3rd. But Gustafsson really wants to make the Raptors rock back home in Sweden and grab 20 points from this final rather than 16. So this is going to be pretty astonishing if Victor Gustafsson can get through into 2nd place. It's been such a solid season from the Swede. And the pressure's off him now. Look back, Carbonell's in 4th, Palomba's in 5th, but they're never going to catch these 2. Not the way things currently stand. The only way they're going to catch is if Habulin decides, I'm going to keep 2nd place. But if I was him, I wouldn't push too hard on Gustafsson. A 2nd or a 3rd, it won't make a massive difference. He'll still tie for points with Leonardo Marsiglia in the title fight, and he'll probably overtake him. But he wants the pride of it. He wants to finish 2nd in a final. Especially considering that if he'd started a little bit higher in the grid, he could have won the whole thing. So from the Croatians' point of view, it really is a great opportunity. So he's tucked in still behind the Croatian Victor Gustafsson as he tries to go for the move. This battle's still going on. And Fritsch is now right in behind Giannoni, but it looks as though Hubert Petit has gone from the back of the queue to the front of it. Brilliant racing from Petit. As Fritsch again gets frustrated sat behind Giannoni. And look, they've been holding each other up for so long that you've got another 5 or 6 karts joining the battle. So this is an absolute ram raid in the midfield now from 7th downwards as Hubert Petit tries to hang on with the likes of Giannoni, Fritsch, Tonterri, Valenti, Berto. They're all in the mix there. Now what's happened to Marcus Funda? Marcus Funda seems to have disappeared from the fray. He seems to have dropped all the way down. I'm not sure what's happened to him or to Yeah, he hasn't come through at the end of the lap, so I wonder if Marcus Funder's been spat out somewhere. Indeed he has. Marcus Funder is parked up at Marshall Point 1. And that's Gustafsson into second. He's got past Christian Habulin. So Habulin will try again. Gustafsson will defend. But this is a brilliant race from Victor Gustafsson to still have life in the tyres, to still have decent brakes and everything working in perfect harmony to be able to close in and pass Christian Habulin for second place. And he's about to become the 20th KZ2 grade European champion. Obviously KZ2 has only been around a few years, but certainly it's the second tier of gearbox. And since 2000 there have been some amazing champions. Final lap, and Victor Gustafsson in second place is about to join them. And for Jordan Lennox-Lamb, the team boss of Leclerc by Lennox Racing, he's about to achieve an amazing ambition. His first FIA Karting title. But David Treveloff, the German, you cannot deny or refute just how amazing he's been. Oh, and that's an incident on the last lap. That is Filippo Berto. Filippo Berto's gone off on the final lap on the main straight. So there's going to be yellow flags into the final turn. But that is fine and dandy for David Treveloff. That means no one can beat him now. The German comes through. It's an amazing result for this incredibly talented young German. He comes out of the final turn. David Treveloff wins at Karting Genk. Brilliant result, but look back. Victor Gustafsson is the European champion of KZ2 in 2020. The Swede has done it. He won at Adria, he's second here in Karting Genk. Here he comes, and Victor Gustafsson is victorious. Well done to Christian Habulin as well, in third position. But here's the hero shot. He could celebrate on the back straight. Victor Gustafsson is European champion of 2020. Magic, absolutely brilliant. David Treveloff wins the final. Victor Gustafsson is second. Christian Habulin is third from Artur Carbonell. What a fight back. Giuseppe Palomba in fifth from Nomblo Petit and Valentino Fritsch. Barbara Totteri is ninth. Lorenzo Giannoni 10th from Marco Valenti and Jesper Sjolberg. Robert Kinderwarter ahead of Robin Glenham. Koen Dorn and Yannick Himmels from Thomas Landijs and Gilles Stadsbader. Lev Lomko and Kobe Pauwels. Thomas Imburg and Tim Verelst from Thomas Mischik and David Jarmin. The last man home was Lucas Vladic, and there were a lot of flotsam and jetsam in the field. Senevan Wildstein unable to finish in the end. Filippo Berto, Marcus Funder, Tom Lulette, Leonardo Marcellia, dramatically Simone Cunuati, and Damian Vallard. What a final, what a race, and what an incredible end to an amazing European title fight in KZ2. But we have a new champion. His name, Victor Gustafsson. The home of champions has crowned another, the European champion in KZ2, and the first ever FIA European title for Leclerc by Lennox Racing. What an amazing result and an absolutely fantastic race. Let's go back over the best bits. So we had those problems right off the start for two of the Virolart wildcards, Thomas Landijs and Kobe Pauwels. That dropped them to the back of the grid. Amazingly, they were able to get going again, but it's opportunities missed for both drivers. They did eventually get going again, but we did say, didn't we, that there is so much that can change and so much that can happen in a battle for a European Championship. And we certainly got to see that here at Karting Genk. But off the start, Treveloff was beautiful. Cunati just didn't quite get the start he wanted. Treveloff chopped across, and that was enough for Gustafsson to take advantage of the open door. But they banged wheels there. You can see that quite clearly. They banged wheels on the way through to the first corner. And that was enough for Gustafsson to stab on the throttle pedal and guide his way through past Simone Cunati. Really nicely handled. And that is what essentially gave him a really solid chance of moving forward. So we can see here, obviously, by this point, Gustafsson's in front of Cunati and Habulin, but Gustafsson's already started defending at this stage because he feels that he doesn't need to win. He just needs to stay in front of Cunati, so he just keeps the door firmly shut, and there's no way back. But look at this squabbling in the midfield. This first lap is always very fast and frenetic. as drivers try to get themselves into a decent position. Lovely move at the back there from one of the SRP racings. I think that's David Yaramin to have made his way through there. Oh no, sorry, that was Lucas Vladic. And then Lulette making this rather clumsy attempt on par with Tonteri. That was enough for Senna van Waalstein to squeeze through, but not Marcellia. And then came the big move. Simone Cunati trying to defend, but also trying to attack. Here's Giannoni on Tonteri. That got a little bit clumsy. And Tonteri very nearly vaulting over the back of his kart. And that really ended his chances of becoming European champion. But then comes the big one, as Senna van Waalstein sets about after Simone Cunati. And from this moment on, it's mission very difficult indeed for Simone Cunati. It started here with Marcellia up the inside very nicely indeed on Tom Lulette. The margin for error there is so slim. But essentially now, this is where Cunati gets his cards dealt to him. Van Waalstein decides he's going to go for it. And he makes the bid up on the curb, gets through on Cunati. It's an amazing move. It is spectacular. And it almost fails on the exit. But the Dutchman gets by. And then a terrible incident for Cunati, just tangling with Marcellia. And that is when his European Championship fades. At this point, he's just making sure he doesn't get run into by anybody. But Simone Cunati knows in his heart of hearts that his European crown is over at this point. What a shame. But then Senna van Waalstein had a trick up his sleeve, and it was up to Victor Gustafsson to decide whether it was going to work or not. This could have been the end of the race for Gustafsson. But look, Van Waalstein, he's actually lost it way into the corner. He's pushed it on the curb, and the back end steps out. So Van Waalstein's made the mistake there and spun the kart into Tom Lulette because there's nowhere for the Praga to go. And if you look, Gilles Stadsbader, look, he's trying to come around the outside of Van Waalstein, and that's cost him several places as well. So there's the move, though, as Habulin is a little bit frustrated with Victor Gustafsson. Either that or it's, go on, man, you can have it. I'm not sure which one that body language is, but Habulin knows he's got third place at this stage. Sewn up because he looks behind him and sees that Artur Carbonell is still quite a way back. Palomba's doing everything he can. You've got to give Giuseppe Palomba a lot of credit for that one because he fought back a massive deficit to just a tenth of a second behind Artur Carbonell. That's the drive of Palomba's season, really, to get out of his 17th place grid start to come up to 5th, sorry. But this man, sublime throughout. David Treveloff, the German, doing such a fine job. And an absolutely superb performance from the German for the SRP racing team, for the Maranello chassis. There's Filippo Alberto. Hasn't exactly covered himself in glory this weekend. It's a real shame for him, but at least he's okay. But for this man, it's a coming-of-age moment in the KZ2 European Championship. To win in any category is obviously very special indeed, but to win a final in the FIA Karting paddock, you put yourself in amongst the greats. And of course, the last man to win the final in a European Championship, it's remembered for a long time. And this is a victory that David Treveloff will remember for many years to come. But the man behind him has even more memories to take into the winter. And of course, to take into the Super Cup next month at Lonato. The biggest prize in KZ2, the International KZ2 Super Cup. Treveloff and Gustafsson both look good for it. Treveloff is the race winner at Karting Genk, but Gustafsson is the European champion. What a great final. And well done to Christian Habulin. The Croatian is on the podium as well. Awesome. Absolutely awesome. You couldn't have asked for a more exciting final from Karting Genk in the KZ2. That race had everything. Intrigue, changing hands of the title, and also a very worthy winner. A great podium for Christian Habulin. And that podium is going to be filled with 3 very happy drivers after an exceptional race.
final. The drivers will head their way to the podium very shortly. But what an absolutely fantastic final.
So let us welcome our three drivers to the podium after an absolutely sensational KZ2 final here at Karting Genk. In third position for Croatia, Christian Habulin! And in second place for Sweden, Victor Gustafsson! And your race winner here at Karting Genk for Germany, David Trevelov! And now, in reference to our race winner on the top of the podium, the national anthem for Germany. SRP Racing, Mike Sibeka! So we invite our drivers one by one to raise their trophies, starting with the man in third position for Croatia, Christian Habulin! And in second place for Sweden, Victor Gustafsson! And to your race winner for Germany, David Trevelov! And of course to our race winning team manager for SRP Racing, Mike Sibeka! So we ask the drivers and the managers to raise their trophies and their bouquets of flowers for the photographers. A fantastic end to the European KZ2 season here in the FIA Karting paddock, and what a sensational final it has been. So, ladies and gentlemen, your top three on the podium once more. Christian Habulin, Victor Gustafsson, and your race winner, David Trevelov! Congratulations to our racers, and thank you for the entertainment and drama you provided all season long. We will return to the KZ2 fraternity on the first weekend of October at Lonato for the International KZ2 Super Cup, and we cannot wait for the drama to unfold. Next up, it is the FIA Karting Academy Trophy Final here at Karting Genk.
Every day, 3,500 lives are lost on roads around the world. Driving can be dangerous, but there are simple rules we can follow that will make our roads safer and save lives. Slow down for kids. Don't text and drive. Always pay attention. Obey the speed limits. Stop when you're tired. Never drink and drive. Check your tires. Rules keep us alive.
Your life is in your hands. Respect the rules.
Well, what a fantastic day so far here at the FIA Karting European Championships. We have now crowned one of our two European champions, and that is Viktor Gustafsson of Sweden, after crossing the line in second place in the final here at Karting Genk, behind the German star David Trevelov. And a fantastic performance too from Christian Habulin of Croatia and the TB Kart squad to get a podium in the KZ2 European Championships is always very special. But your first is one that you will remember for a long, long time. So their category will return, of course, as we mentioned, at Lonato in Italy, when the KZ2 will fight for the International Super Cup in a month from now. And all the drivers know exactly who to be watching out for now, because the drivers in the top 10 are sure to go for the biggest prize in KZ2. And they will be dueling for supremacy as they battle for glory. Next up, it is the second final of 3 in the FIA Karting Academy Trophy. It's time then for the FIA Karting Academy Trophy Final. An exciting and crucial battle in this three-part drama. After Adria, the title fight went the way of Conor Zilic, who took the lead after a fantastic victory from pole position in the qualifying heats. He's not there in pole position this time. He's got second on the grid, though, and that means that his lead in the points tally has opened up to 15 points over Maxime Foran-Castellan of Luxembourg on 29, Maceo Capieta of France on 25, Jonathan Waywalt of Denmark on 24, and Alex Powell of Jamaica on 20 in the top 5. It's going to be a fascinating battle to the FIA Karting Academy Trophy, where anything can still happen and the title fight is still alive and kicking. We have today, and then 4 weeks from now, we have the next battle. And that, of course, will take place at Lonato in Italy. So it is still very much early days in this FIA Karting Academy Trophy. 1 down and 2 to go as far as the finals are concerned. So this race will give us plenty of excitement and some crucial battles ahead. So now we can talk you through the starting grid as the drivers are making their way to collect their medals. And the drivers will bring themselves onto the main starting grid itself on their identical karts, all Expert chassis with Vortex engines and Vega tyres, all built identically. So it comes down to the best driver on the day. The drivers now head their way out onto the grid, led by the pole sitter from the Philippines. It is Zachary David, and he lines up at the front of the field. In second, Connor Zilic from the United States. Third, Matteo De Palo of Italy. Fourth, Tom Bryken, the home favourite from Belgium. Maceo Capieto of France. And then Keanu Alajari of the United Arab Emirates. Theo Makuris of Great Britain starts 7th. Alex Powell of Jamaica is 8th. Albin Storesen of Sweden is 9th on the grid. In 10th place, it is Ariel Elkin of Israel. 11th is Gianni Andrezani of Germany. 12th is Alexander Kubenko of Russia. Jonathan Waywat of Denmark is 13th. Maxim Ferron Castellan lines up 14th ahead of Oscar Wirtz of Austria. Rafael Modenese of Peru is on the 8th row in 16th. From the Czech Republic, it is Adam Kowalski. From Finland, it is Alexei Yaleva. Then it is Bart Piekatowski of Poland alongside the Japanese driver Shudazono. Santiago Valve of Spain is alongside the Romanian Darius Babioana. Jaden Tien of the Netherlands and Freya Norman of Denmark. And then for Costa Rica, it is Frederick Lunt. For Bulgaria, it is Kaloyan Varbetsaliev. So the drivers are ready for the biggest show in town for the junior brigade of karting. And we will see how it plays out here at Karting Genk, as the drivers are now at their karts and a fabulous race awaits us. 19 laps of Karting Genk in 15 degrees air temperature. A massive contrast to what we saw at Adria when the drivers were struggling to stay hydrated. This time, they're struggling to keep warm. So an interesting battle for the competitors as we make our way onto the starting grid once again in this legendary facility. The home of champions indeed here at Karting Genk. And it is still amazing to see what the tireless efforts of Paul and Koen Lemmens have provided us here at this amazing facility. For so many years, it has given karting an amazing cathedral of excellence. And it continues to do so here in the FIA Karting Championships. And the Karting Academy Trophy, the mini Olympics of our sport. It really is a wonderful battle from drivers from around the world, many of whom are stepping into international competition for the very first time. And it is an absolutely wonderful opportunity for these youngsters to take their first steps in the world of motorsport as heroes and as people who are the pride of their nation. It doesn't matter where they finish. They are already victors as they get to represent their country on the world stage. And you can carry your nation's flag on your kart and your race suit with ultimate pride and dignity. But what a race battle we are going to see from these youngsters aged 11 to 14. Some of them out of their country for the very first time. Pole position goes the way of the young man from the Philippines, Zachary David. After a brilliant day at the office yesterday, he has managed to get himself to the front of the starting grid after a sensational duel in the heats yesterday. And he has well deserved his place on the front of that grid, alongside the championship leader, Connor Zilic of the United States. The two men on the front row of the grid with plenty of battles ahead of them in this 19 laps. But for Zachary David, the young man from the Philippines, he wants to emulate his fellow Asian star, Christian Ho, who got a win in the European Championship last year for Singapore. Zachary David would dearly love to put the Philippines flag on the top of the podium at the end of this final. Connor Zilic, though, of the United States lines beside him. On the second row of the grid, we have Matteo De Palo of Italy, the number 504, and he runs on the inside line of the second row. Beside him, it is the home hero, Tom Bryken. He lives 10 minutes from this circuit, and the Belgian would dearly love to give the fans watching back home a home victory. It would be a wonderful result. Maceo Capieto of France lines up in P5 as he runs on the inside of the third row. Alongside him is the young man from Dubai, Keanu Alajari from the United Arab Emirates. He's got racing very much in his DNA. His father, Kareem, is a very successful Porsche racer, and it's almost certain that Keanu Alajari could even emulate and eclipse him the way things are currently going. On the fourth row of the grid for Great Britain, Theo Makuris, who's really stepped up a gear this weekend. He's had plenty of opportunities. He's taken advantage of every one of them. And by right, he is here on the inside line of the 4th row with plenty more speed in the tank. Alongside him on the grid, the young man from Jamaica who's rewriting what's possible for the Caribbean racers in the world of motorsport, Alex Powell. Very much a trailblazer. And everyone back home in Kingston is rip-roaring to see him at the front end of the field. Albin Sturlason of Sweden. This has been a groundbreaking weekend for him. At Adria, it was okay. This weekend, he's been superb. A 2nd place in the heats yesterday, and there's definitely more where that came from. Expect him to surge forward. Alongside the man who's been a bit of a superstar this weekend, Ariel Elkin, a difficulty in qualifying, but the fact that he's starting in 10th position, having come from the back of the grid every time, proves that the Israeli has got something special to come. On the 6th row of the starting grid, it is Gianni Andrezzani, the German. Another brilliant performance from him yesterday to take a fantastic heat victory. He's coming of age in this Karting Academy trophy, and there's plenty more from him. Alongside him on the grid, Mr. Overtake, Alexander Gubenko, the young man from Russia, with plenty of opportunities ahead to storm forward from 12th on the grid. Unlucky yesterday. Today, there'll be no bad luck as far as he's concerned. On the 7th row, 2 men that are fighting for the points title. Jonathan Waywat of Denmark beside Maxime Ferrand-Castellan of Luxembourg. 2 drivers with plenty of opportunities to win this season still to come, but they've got a tough mission from the 7th row of the grid. If anybody are going to do it, these 2 have plenty of chances to make it happen. On the 16th and 15th positions on the grid, on the inside line for Austria, it is young Oscar Wirtz, younger brother of Charlie, son of Alex. This man has racing written through his DNA. And alongside him on the starting grid, who he shakes hands with, the Peruvian, Rafael Modenese, the superstar who is making waves in Peru. Amazing fan base back home. And he and Rob have been tweaking the car all weekend long. So there is almost certainly another charge through the field to come. On the 9th row of the grid for the Czech Republic, on the inside line, Adam Kowalski. Plenty of great battles yesterday. Some great overtakes as well. Unfortunate that he's down the order, but it's not necessarily something that will hold him back. Alongside him on the grid from Finland, Alexei Yeleva. Lots of speed under his right foot. And there's definitely more. If he can make his way up through the field, we'll get to see it. On the 10th row of the grid, unfortunate after qualifying, but making his way back up through the field from Poland, it is Bart Piekatowski, and he will line up alongside a very talented Japanese driver, Shudazono, who was awesome in the heats yesterday. Only front fairing penalties keep him down the order. There won't be any of those today if he can help it. On the 11th row of the grid for Spain, Santiago Valve, a day of frustration yesterday. Today, however, he and his mechanic have got it all sorted and nailed, and they want to make this one happen. Alongside him on the grid, from Romania, it is the talented Darius Babioana, and he is going to have a really strong battle as he runs from 22nd on the starting grid. Row 12, and it's the Flying Dutchman, Jaden Tien, from the inside line. A difficult day at the office yesterday, you might think, but he's got plenty of chances to work his way back through the field. All he has to do is stay out of trouble. Alongside him, the ever-improving Danish racer, Freya Norman, and she is making good progress every weekend. At the back row of the grid, it is Frederik Lund of Costa Rica. His first weekend in the title race this particular weekend at Karting Genk, and therefore he's had a steep mountain to climb, but he's getting on with it with no hesitation at all. And alongside him on the grid is the Bulgarian, Kalian Varbatsaliev in the 547. Great performance in the qualifying, but it's going to be a difficult race for him from the back. Can he charge his way through? 19 laps, and the Virtual Championship standings tell us at the moment that it is Conor Zilic, the young man from the United States of America, that leads the title race with 44 points. And that is a 15-point lead over Maxime Ferrand-Castellan, the young man from Luxembourg, who starts on row 7. 4 points behind him is Maceo Capieto. 1 point behind him is Jonathan Waywat, and 4 points behind him is Alex Powell. So there are 4 drivers scrapping away for second in the points tally, but they could really do with a difficult race for Conor Zilic in order to fight back and close in on the American. If he gets another win today, it's almost impossible for anyone to catch him. So Conor Zilic knows in the back of his head that he can technically seal the title today, but he can't be focusing on that. He's just got to focus on the race ahead. And whatever happens, happens. And we've been in this situation before. Let's not forget that last year we had the Dutchman Robert de Haan, who was on the verge of winning the title if he won the second race. A technical infringement excluded him from the race, and it meant that the title fight carried on. So nothing is done until you cross the line at the end of the race. So we have to find out who is going to get the job done. And will we crown an Academy Trophy title winner today, or will we have to wait a month? Obviously, there are 25 drivers on this grid who would quite like to wait a month, but there is one who wants to finish it today. The man on the outside of the front row, Connor Zilic from North Carolina in the United States of America. But Zachary David from the Philippines lines up in pole position. He scored his first championship points here this weekend as well. 10 points for winning the qualifying heats, 9 for coming second, 8 for coming third, 7 for coming fourth, and so on down to P10 on the starting grid for the final with a sole championship point. And because there are plenty of new faces in the top 10 compared to what we saw in Adria, the title fight has definitely become a little bit closer for second place downwards. But Connor Zilic has a 15-point lead with a possible 25 on offer in this final. It could be done and dusted before we even get to Lonato. But Connor Zilic can't be affording to think about that right now. He has a race to battle for. If he wins it, fantastic. If he scores well, he's still in a fine position to get the job done 4 weeks from now. Patience is a virtue, but racecraft is something you can hone and you can master. So who's going to get the best of it here in the FIA Karting Academy Trophy Final? The second round of 3, and it's a very tough battle. In a minute's time, the drivers will be released and they will head out onto the circuit. They will have the formation lap and then they will have a rolling start. And this is the first time, of course, this weekend here at Karting Genk that we have had a race with as many drivers on the starting grid as we have. The last minute of the race, preparation. The mechanics are there with their drivers, giving them one final prep talk, just guiding them through this procedure. The 30-second board is raised at the front end of the field. Remember, boys and girls, this is the one chance you're going to get to put on a show. Take it easy. You can't win the race on the first lap. You can definitely lose it, though. So patience is a virtue, but strength and determination is a gift. Are they going to open that present on the first lap? The green light will show at the beginning of the starting grid, and the flag will wave as the drivers will head out around the circuit for their formation lap. This is it. A particular and potential character-changing moment in this FIA Karting Academy Trophy. Zachary David in pole position from Connor Zilic. Matteo De Palo and Tom Bryken. Maceo Capieto and Keanu Alajari from Theo Makuris and Alex Powell. Albin Stadesen and Ariel Elkin. Gianni Andrezzani and Alexander Gubenko. Jonathan Waywart and Maxim Furon-Castellan from Oscar Wirtz and Rafael Madanese. Adam Kowalski and Alexei Yeleva. Bart Piekatowski, Shu Dazono, Santiago Valde, Darius Babayawana, Jaden Tien, Freya Norman, Frederick Lund and Kalyan Vavatsaliev. So the 26 drivers from all 4 corners of the globe will battle away once more for supremacy here at Karting Genk. They have been gathered from far and wide, chosen by their respective sporting governing bodies who will give them the chance to shine around this circuit. Just the one formation lap, as we know. And so the drivers are now feeding in to their 2 rows around the circuit. It looks to me as though everybody is A-OK on this formation lap. They are in their positions. And now it is time for the drivers in their identical Expert Racing chassis with Vortex engines, Vega tyres. They will battle away for supremacy. Only the driving counts. David, Zilic, De Palo, Bryken, Capieto, Alajari, Makuris, Powell, Stadesen, Elkin, Andrezzani, Gubenko, Wayward and Furon-Castellan from Wirtz and Modenese. Are we going to get a clean start straight away? Yes, we do! It's to the first corner, and David and De Palo have stretched away already to the first corner. De Palo trying to get through on the inside of the Philippine star, and he leads. Matteo De Palo has taken an early lead of the race, so he gets through no problem past Zachary David, and is that Theo Makuris charging through to 3rd position? Yes, it is! The British driver has cracked through into P3. Oh, sorry, no, that's Connor Zilic. Makuris is still there, up in the top 6, and it looks like Maxim Furon-Castellan's charging his way through now in the middle of the pack. Brilliant racing down to the corner. And as they head in through the hairpin, it's De Palo who leads the way. Zachary David in second place. Conor Zilic is still there in P3. And in fourth place, that looks to me like the 502, is it? It certainly can't be. No, that's from way down the order. So the battle surges its way through on this first lap. It's the 512, that's why I was confused. And that is Maceo Capieto, the Frenchman, straight in there for the battle, almost losing out to Tom Breiken, who loses out big time on the exit, as through comes the 522. Great start then from Albin Studesen, the Swede. Oh, and there's a problem down the main straight. Looks like somebody has gone onto the grass and tagged a couple of the banners. And that's Zilic up on the inside of De Palo to take the lead. Absolutely amazing from Conor Zilic. The 513 leads here. And if he can't be beaten in this one, then it's going to go down to the wire at Lonato. But it's not going to be an easy fight to win from there. So Ariel Elkin gets through on the inside line. And that's a nice move from the Israeli. He's charging forward again up into the top 5. But Conor Zilic is now trying to stretch away from Maceo Capieto and Matteo De Palo. David down to 4th, Elkin 5th from Breiken, Makuris, Studesen, Powell and Gubenko. Conor Zilic with an amazing chance here now to win the FIA Karting Academy trophy, almost certainly if he can stay in front, because his lead will be unassailable at the front end of the field on 69 points out of a potential 70 that he could have scored. And with everyone else being so even and fair, that would make it almost impossible for anyone to beat him when we come to the next round of the championship at Lonato. So Conor Zilic has really had to fight for this. So now he is there in front of Capieto. Here comes Matteo De Palo trying to get his way to second place. Zach David still 4th from Elkin, Breiken, Makuris, Studesen, Powell, Gubenko, Modenese and Furon Castellan from Santiago Valve. So the battle continues to charge forward. But look, Zilic is already starting to stretch out the gap there. It's not a big gap yet, but he's certainly going about it the right way. And David slices up the inside of Matteo De Palo. And there's the chance that they're all trying to get in on the inside line. Ariel Elkin manages to get through, but it's Matteo De Palo who's lost about 8 places as he comes through off the turf. And that is Zachary David into 3rd position, but dueling away now with Tom Breiken as he comes through. It's Elkin who's up into 3rd place. The Israeli has charged his way forward. And now Breiken gets on the inside of Zach David. David comes back on the outside line. Makuris dives now for the inside of Breiken. Still keeps his foot in on the inside and gets past David. Great move from Makuris. Ah, superb bit of racecraft. And now Powell slices up the inside of David, as does Alex Gubenko. And there's still room for Furon Castellan to get through on the inside of the Filipino as well. Oh, and Gubenko's gone off. He runs back onto the circuit, right into the path of the 506 of Jonathan Waywat. So that was very close quarters racing indeed, as Albin Studesen gets the warning flag. Not quite sure what it's for, as Makuris has got right up to Ariel Elkin. So Makuris is going for 3rd position. Elkin is swarming around all over the shop as he comes into the braking zone for the hairpin. And Makuris is now trying to find his way through. He'll get some assistance from the 522 of Albin Studesen. Studesen is right in there to try and assist as they try and make the gap up the inside. But Elkin is determined to keep 3rd position his own. Maceo Capieto is the only man left to get after Conor Zilic, who sets the fastest lap of the race. So that's not working out for the Frenchman. Makuris tries again, and here comes Breiken on the inside of Albin Studesen, and he's going to get some support from the Jamaican Alex Powell. But perhaps a little bit too much eagerness from the drivers in the field there. You can see a couple of front fairings are dented. Whether or not that's going to lead to penalties will purely be decided on whether they're loose and out of position. A big lunge on the inside from Powell, and he gets into 6th place. Leaves the door wide open as well for Furon Castellan and Modenese, as Tom Breiken, the Belgian, slips down to 9th. Very big disappointment for him. He really wanted to do a good job here on home soil. And up into 10th place at the final bend. Goodness me, that's DeZono and Waywat diving up the inside of Alexei Yaleva. And Theo Makuris has got into 3rd. He's passed Ariel Elkin, and Studesen's got through as well. Powell's getting up alongside. Elkin is desperately trying to hang on to his place in the top 5. And Powell has got a rodeo. Oh, sorry, that's Maxime Furon Castellan trying to climb over the back of Alex Powell, I think that was. But fortunately, they get away with that one. And Furon Castellan is now lining up behind. So that was a close quarter, as up the inside comes De Palo. Gubenko tries to stuck in on the inside line there of Shudazono, the Japanese. And there's some amazing racing in the midfield, as drivers are trying their best not to get into too many chaotic moments. Tom Breiken trying to get back on terms with Furon Castellan, I think that is. They're battling over 8th position. Even in the midfield behind them, there's some great squabbles as we've got Andrzejani and Zach David in front of him. Kowalski, Gubenko, Babiawana. De Palo is 18th now from Santiago Valverde and Oscar Wirtz. So not everybody's had an easy race of it. But Conor Zilic is in front of Maceo Capieto with Theo Makuris in 3rd, pulling away from Albin Stodesen. So as it stands at the moment, we're going to have an American, a Frenchman and a Brit on the podium, with Makuris setting fastest laps in 3rd. But the gap between him and Conor Zilic and Maceo Capieto is currently 4 seconds. Look at this battle in the midfield. As up the inside, Shudazono scraps away with Tom Breiken, and through comes Alexei Yaleva trying to get through. There's Ariel Elkin defending as up the inside. A bold lunge from Rafael Modenese, and the Peruvian gets into 5th place. Good move. Now Alex Powell, the Jamaican, is trying to come by as well. But Modenese makes it stick in fine style. So Modenese gets through, and that puts him into P5, the young man from Peru. And Alex Powell has got through as well, finally, to get past Ariel Elkin, the young man from Israel. So as they come across the line, 12 laps to go. Powell is taking some big punishment here as Elkin tries to get on the inside. Fernand Castellan sweeps in on the inside line. And there's a big lunge from Alexei Yaleva. And that's the 506. Jonathan Waywat, he comes through to get into the position. So a nice run there from Waywat. And he now puts himself in front of Maxime Fernand Castellan. Amazing squabbles in this field at the moment. But Maceo Capieto still second. In front of all of this. Look at the squabbles in the mid-pack. Something's going to come away. And unfortunately, it looks as though Tom Breiken is the one that's been spat out. That's heartbreaking for the Belgian. He was pole position in qualifying. And it's Tom Breiken. Oh, no. That is an absolute heartbreak for the very incredibly fast Belgian. He was pole position after qualifying. And now it's all fallen apart. Oh, he's desperately trying to get moving again. But it's all over. Heartbreak for the 11-year-old. He can't believe it. It was all going so well on Friday evening. Now, he's just got to make his way back to the Marshall post. Devastating. What a heartbreaker. Now the battle's still raging as Alex Powell is trying to keep himself in front of Ariel Elkin. Maxime Fernand Castellan is trying to break through as well. But the Jamaican is keeping himself nice and firm in 6th position for the moment. He's got to keep himself very neat and tidy. And here comes Fernand Castellan diving up the inside. He will not resist Ariel Elkin. And round the outside, DeSoto tries to get through. But up the inside instead comes Zachary David. Welcome back to the big show. Elkin gets back on through on the inside of Fernand Castellan, who does a dummy. He switches him back on the exit. Nice racecraft there from the Luxembourger. And Elkin doesn't like that one. He's going to try him again. And he gets through. But Fernand Castellan keeps his foot in. Keeps it square. They run side by side. And Zachary David sweeps past them both. Brilliant racecraft from the Filipino. Look at all this nudging. This is proper Days of Thunder stuff, isn't it? They say rubbing's racing. It certainly is in the Academy Trophy. As Elkin tries to get his move on Fernand Castellan. Fernand Castellan goes deep. Now, was that Elkin shoving him out of the way? The Luxembourger may well feel that he has been hard done by. Goodness me. They are really having a proper race of it as they dive through on the inside line. I wonder how many of these racers have been training for their race program on the video game Wreckfest. There's definitely a little bit of tapping and nudging. Lots of love taps on this field as they come through down the straight. This is a tough one for Ariel Elkin to hold on to. Kowalski getting up the inside. Lovely move from the Czech. He gets through into position as Gubenko tries his best to slice through on the inside as Alexei Yaleva takes advantage of that. He runs wide and Yaleva gets through. Lap 11 of 19. 9 laps to go. 10 done. And still a heck of a long way to go in this race. Meanwhile, back at the front end of the field as this battle continues to squabble. And they are still nudging and tapping their way around the circuit. Surely somebody's got to come off the road if this doesn't calm down. They've got to keep this a little bit more serene in the midfield. Some proper duels and contests as they continue to swap and switch positions. But this is where you learn the art of the racecraft. Back to the front end of the field. And Zilic leads Capieto by 0.7 of a second, but the man catching them all is Theo Mercouris. The gap was 4 seconds. It's now down to only 2.3 as Ali Elkin falls to 14th place. And he's been given a warning flag for his difficulties in the race. He was in 3rd at one point. So here's the battle for 8th. This is Gianni Andrezzani and Shudazono, and the Zono slices up the inside line. The Japanese driver takes the place. Further up, this is the battle for 4th. Sweden's Albin Stordason has been caught by Rafael Modenese, but there's your leader. Conor Zilic looking good for 69 points on the table, with Maceo Capieto in 2nd place looking to have 45. But this is an exceptional run to the victory for Conor Zilic if he can hang on to it. Theo Mercouris is going as fast as humanly possible to try and close in on the drivers in front. He's got the gap down to 2 seconds, Mercouris. What a fight back. He has sliced the gap in half. Can he get to the front of the field? Oh, well, he certainly can't. That's Babiawana. Darius Babiawana, the Romanian. Looks like he's caught his arm there. So a bit of an issue there for the Romanian. As up the inside comes Firon Castellan. He dives through on the 503. A nice move there on Jaden Tien. So the Dutchman loses ground as he loses not 1 place, not 2 places, but 3 places. And look at this, a proper squabble. Matteo De Palo trying to keep the brakes on as Gubenko and Wirtz dice away. This is outside the top 10, but still amazing racecraft. And they are trying ever so hard to get through. A little nudge here, a little nudge there. But eventually, the right result is going to come through, depending on how many people have got front fairings, depending on how many people have transgressed in their interpretation of the rules. Up front, though, the gap is absolutely slicing. Mercouris has taken another 0.4 of a second out of the 2 leaders. As up the inside, yet again, Modenese tries to get past Albin Stordason. And this is Alex Powell versus Zachary David. The pole sitter, David, trying to get past the Jamaican, who is about to move into 3rd place in the driver's standings if he stays in the top 6. So this is important for Alex Powell. If he stays here, he moves into 3rd place in the driver's standings. And that would be an amazing debut season for the Jamaican. So he just wants to hang on to this for the remaining 5.5 laps. But up in front, there's a battle brewing. Zilic and Capieto are being caught by Theo Mercouris with only 5 laps to go. On the main straight, they are close. Powell and David still dueling over 6th and 7th. But at the front, the 3 leaders are tightening up. 4th and 5th are pretty close as well. Here comes David on the inside of Powell. Lovely move. Zachary David finishes it off in style. And Theo Mercouris gets another new fastest lap in. And that has brought the gap down to just 1.4 seconds. We're about to get a lead change here if we're not careful, because Zilic is being caught by Capieto and Capieto's being caught by Mercouris. The gap that was 4 seconds is now just under 1.5 seconds. Here it is. There's Mercouris closing in on Capieto. He's not given up and he's got 4 laps to do something about this. Pikatowski gets a warning flag. But look at this. This was a 4-second gap a few laps ago. Mercouris has pure conviction and belief. He's going to get to Capieto. He's got a chance to go for 2nd. If he works with the Frenchman, they might just catch the American. It's not over yet. Mercouris still pushing Capieto hard. They come off the first few corners. Can Zilic hang on to this victory? Or is the Frenchman and the Brit going to team up and close in on the American? Mercouris, another new fastest lap, 55.1. 0.3 of a second faster than both the men in front of him. So Mercouris has still got plenty in reserve here. He's been chipping away at this. He's been keeping himself out of trouble. He's got clear track in front of him. This is what he's good at, catching up to the men in front. And now he's got an opportunity here. But Capieto's going faster than Conor Zilic. Theo Mercouris finally slow, but up the inside. Surely that's going to be 2nd place. It is indeed. So Mercouris gets into 2nd position out of the final turn, and now he's chasing after the American and the championship leader. So can the Brit get there, or is Capieto going to retaliate? It already looks as though Mercouris is stepping on the gas and closing in on the American up front. Mercouris is really on it now. When he's got a clear track in front of him here at Karting Genk, he really seems to love this place, and it's drivers who do well here that go on to big things. You've only got to look at the roll call of drivers who have made it big here. Jenson Button, Michael Schumacher, Max Verstappen, Daniel Ricciardo. The list goes on and on and on. And this man, Theo Mercouris, is stepping up towards Conor Zilic. The gap down to 1.1 seconds, and he's got clear track between him and the American. What can he do with these final 2 laps? He was consistently 0.3 of a second a lap faster. The gap was 1.1. What is it now? 0.8 of a second. He's doing whatever he can to close in. He needs a little bit more, but he's still done an incredible job to fight his way back from 7th on the grid to be 2nd at the moment. Plaudits where they're due to Albin Storaisen as well. He's fought up from 9th place to 4th. There's Piekutowski having a bit of an issue. And credit to Rafael Modenese as well. He's come up from 16th on the grid to P5. Mercouris is charging. He's got nothing to lose at this phase. He's just got to keep pushing to see if he can get close enough to Zilic. But what a performance this is from the American up front. The race leader, almost one hand on the Academy Trophy now. He's just got to keep it rolling. But this is such a giant-killing effort from Theo Mercouris. Nobody really knew he was there in Adria. He had some good performances, but he wasn't able to get the result. Everybody knows his name now. Final lap. And for Conor Zilic, he's just got to guide it round this final 1.3 kilometers. And he is essentially one hand on the FIA Karting Academy Trophy in 2020. He's just got to keep it together. Rolls off the power out of the hairpin, down the back straight. Mercouris has not given up. He's still pushing hard. But what an opportunity this is for Conor Zilic to extend his lead in the title race to an unbelievable 28 points. And that will make it almost impossible for anybody to beat him. He looks back, he knows where Mercouris is. He knows he's not going to get close enough. The American, all the way from North Carolina, is going to come through for victory here at Karting Genk after a solid effort all weekend. This is his first big moment. Conor Zilic wins again in the Karting Academy Trophy here at Karting Genk, and he knows that it's pretty much done and dusted now. 2 wins in 2 finals. Come and get it if you think you're hard enough at Lonato. Amazing. And for Conor Zilic, that is very nearly job done. Theo Mercouris fights valiantly to 2nd. What a comeback for the Brit. And in 3rd place, a solid run from the Frenchman, Maceo Capieto, who now moves into 2nd in the point standings. But it's the United States of America and the Star-Spangled Banner that will be the ringing out tune on the podium in a few short minutes. Conor Zilic wins from Theo Mercouris and Maceo Capieto. Albin Storaisen is 4th from Rafael Modenese. Zachary David is 6th from Alex Powell. Then Shudazono and Adam Kowalski. Santiago Valve and Jonathan Waywat from Gianni Andrezzani. Alexei Aleva in front of Matteo De Palo. Then Ariel Elkin and Oscar Wurtz. Maxime Ferron Castellan and Alexander Gubenko from Keanu Alajari and Jaden Tian. Kalian Vabatsaliev and Freya Norman ahead of Bart Piekutowski and Frederick Lund. And then the 2 retirees, Darius Babiawana, and rather sadly on home soil, Tom Breiken could not quite make the flag. But what a result for Conor Zilic. 2 wins in as many finals. One hand now firmly placed on the FIA Karting Academy Trophy of 2020. Poised to become the first American ever to win it. So while you guys watch back over the best bits of the final, we're going to make our way to the podium. What a fantastic rostrum it's going to be for our top 3 drivers. A fantastic performance from our FIA Academy Trophy drivers, and they are about to make their way to our podium in a few short minutes' time. What an exceptional battle it's been in these first two weekends. There will be more great action from them at the final weekend at Lonato. But now we know a little bit more about the fate of this 2020 FIA Karting Academy Trophy. So let us welcome our three drivers from the FIA Karting Academy Trophy, top three here at Karting Genk, to the podium for their well-deserved reception. In third position for France, Matteo Capieto! And in second position for the United Kingdom, Theo Makouris! And your race winner for the United States of America, Connor Zilic! And in deference to our winning driver on the top step of the podium, the national anthem for the United States of America. To our three drivers on the podium, and we invite them one by one to raise their trophies aloft. Starting with the man in third position for France, Matteo Capieto! And in second position for the United Kingdom, Theo Makouris! And your race winner for the second time this season from the United States of America, Connor Zilic! And we ask our drivers to raise their trophies and their bouquets aloft for the photographers. A fantastic finishing shot to Karting Genk. What a brilliant podium of three very worthy drivers. Ladies and gentlemen, your top three again, Matteo Capieto, Theo Makouris, and your race winner, Connor Zilic! Congratulations to our three drivers on the FIA Karting Academy Trophy podium. We will welcome them back once again at the final weekend of the season at Lonato in October, when the FIA Karting Academy Trophy will conclude for 2020. Next up, a fantastic race is ahead of us in the KZ European Championship Final.
Every day, 3,500 lives are lost on roads around the world. Driving can be dangerous, but there are simple rules we can follow that will make our roads safer and save lives. Slow down for kids. Don't text and drive. Always pay attention. Obey the speed limits. Stop when you are tired. Never drink and drive. Check your tires. Rules keep us alive.
Your life is in your hands. Respect the rules.
It's time for the FIA Karting European Championship final in the KZ category to get underway. This is the championship everyone in karting wants to win. It's the precursor to the World Championship final in Lonato, but more importantly, it puts you in an amazing list of drivers amongst the greatest racers of all time. These racers are not just mere competitors, they are gladiators. It is such a physical task racing at this level. Karting at the world stage is already an incredible discipline with a lot of physical exertion and an incredible amount of strength and stamina required. But the gearbox category is stepping up another level. These guys really are superhuman, and to be even at this stage is an amazing achievement. 12 of racing's greatest stars currently on the motorsport circuit are here to battle for supremacy at the top of the sport. And this title is going to be a tough one to win. There are 5 drivers who can get the job done in this championship finale, and just 16 points between them. Italy's Alessandro Orlando currently leads the way with 38 points. Simo Pohaka of Finland has 33. He is 5 points behind. The reigning world champion, Martin Kramers of the Netherlands, is 7 points behind Alessandro Orlando on 31. Riccardo Longhi of Italy has 27. Noah Millell of Sweden, the pole sitter in yesterday's timed qualifying, has 22. He lines up second on the grid for this one, but the European Championship is going to be won. And whatever happens in this final, we are going to crown a new European champion. It's going to be a fascinating battle, and we will have a new name to add to a significant list of Hall of Famers in the principal gearbox category in the European karting scene. So many great racers have won the Premier Gearbox European Championship category since the turn of the century in the year 2000. They will join the list of some of the greats. 4-time champion Francesco Laudato, two-time European champion Alessandro Manetti, Roberto Toninelli, Alessandro Piccini, Jonathan Tonon, Baz Lammers, who won it twice in 2009 and 2010 in the KZ1 era, Paolo De Conto, who's won it twice, Jorrit Pex, who's won it twice and is the reigning European champion, and then the likes of Marco Ardigo and Max Verstappen. Flavio Campaneschi, a champion as well. Marin Kramers starts on pole. Noah Millell is second for Sweden. Stan Pex is third for the Netherlands. Fourth place for France is Adrien Renaudin. Fifth place, the Italian, Riccardo Longhi. Sixth place, the reigning European champion, Jorrit Pex. Alessandro Orlando, championship leader, starts 7th. Simo Pohaka, his closest rival, starts 8th. Baz Lammers starts 9th. Matteo Vegano is 10th. Louis Speck is 11th. And 12th is Fabian Federer. The battle is going to be a tough one, whatever happens. But these 12 superstars will go to battle for 23 laps of karting Genk. That is no lean achievement. 31.28 kilometers of racing as the temperature has climbed to 18 degrees air temperature. A lot cooler than it was in Sarno, but that doesn't mean the race will be any less exhilarating. For Marin Kramers, he has a fairly simple task on paper. All he has to do is get into the first corner first and hope that nothing happens to take away his title run. But that is easier said than done. Alongside him on the grid, Noah Millel has a golden opportunity to win his first FIA Karting KZ final as part of the Tony Kart factory team. And he will really want to take it. Stan Pex, lining up third, has a chance to step out of the shadows and claim a victory here with the Kart Republic chassis in third position. And the fourth place man in his second season in KZ competitive racing, Adrien Renaudin, just 2 years after he claimed the KZ2 crown. Now he has a chance to go for the victory here today at Karting Genk, but it won't be the European title. However, it will be a good starting point of reference to challenge for the Championship of the World. Fifth place on the grid is Riccardo Longhi, the Italian star, and he will obviously now race from fourth position in the title fight. Let's look through each of the drivers on your screens, and there in the live stream. Marin Kramers, pole position on the Riccardo kart this season. A few months ago, he had no idea he'd even be battling for karting racing titles this year. Never mind in the best possible position to win the European Championship. Beside him is the Swede Noah Millel, lightning fast in qualifying and on the front row of the grid for the final. His chance is imminent. On the second row, it is the Dutchman Stan Pex, the man who came out of the FIA Karting Academy trophy a few short years ago. And now he is here representing his country aboard the Kart Republic on the second row of the grid. And alongside him is Adrien Renaudin, the Frenchman, leading the way for the Sony Kart factory team and with a great chance to get on the podium here at Karting Genk. On the third row, the Italian star, Riccardo Longhi, very much still in the fight for the European Championship. He is 11 points adrift of Alessandro Irlando, but crucially, he starts ahead of him. There is a good chance that he could snatch it all. And the man in sixth position on the grid, the two-time European champion in the last 2 years, but 3 times a winner in the European title total, Jorrit Pex, with a great chance to finish off his difficult campaign on a high. On the fourth row, the leading 2 drivers in the European Championship. Alessandro Irlando of Birolart, who won at Adria, 38 points in the title standings, 5 points ahead of the man alongside him on the grid, Simo Pohaka of Finland for Tony Kart. These two have met before, and they have clashed before. This could be an interesting battle in the title race. Ninth position on the grid, the superhuman Baz Lammers, 9th position on the grid for Sony Kart. And what an opportunity he has. He missed out in Adria. We missed him very much indeed. But the absolute warrior of this KZ gearbox category and everyone's favourite racer in the paddock, he has a great chance to charge his way forward. 9th position he starts alongside the talented Italian Matteo Vegano, robbed of the chance of the European Championship with an engine seizure in the penultimate lap at Sarno when he was catching the leader. He still has a chance to fight for this glory, and he's definitely an upcoming favourite for the World Championships at Lonato. On the 6th row of the grid, 2 brilliant young stars. Louis Speck, 15 years of age, the youngest man in KZ history for a while, and definitely a great young challenger within a second of everybody's lap times too, so there's plenty still to come from the TB Kart driver from Germany. And alongside him on the grid for the SRP Maranello team, it is Fabian Federer. He's just seen his stablemate in KZ2, David Trevelov, take the win in the final. Can he fight his way back from 12th to get on the podium? It's a tough battle in KZ. As far as I'm concerned, and I've spoken to many racing drivers all over the world in different disciplines of motorsport about this, they cannot deny or refute the fact that racing in KZ at this level in the FIA karting paddock is just about the most physically demanding and excruciatingly assaulting challenge of motorsport any racer can undertake. You are a couple of millimeters off the ground. You are 0 to 60 in an incredible, the least amount of time you can possibly think of in a kart. And power to weight ratio of these machines place them on the same level as cars in the Grand Prix paddock. Maybe not necessarily at Formula One level, but certainly at that sort of height. And many drivers have come out of the world of gearbox racing to move on to the upper echelons of motorsport, be it in Formula One, Le Mans, Indianapolis, Formula E, wherever it might be, because this is the ultimate proving ground. If you can win here, you can win anywhere. This is incredibly tough, and only the best of the best of the best get to grace the grid in FIA Karting's KZ Elite. So many top drivers have been and come and gone here before. Two of them in recent times are now racing at the front of Formula One, Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc. They raced in 2013 and they were first and second in the World Championship. Verstappen won the European title that year. Another Dutchman could well get the job done today to emulate the man who won the European title 7 years ago. And that man is potentially on pole position for this one. Marin Kramers, world champion in 2019 after a glorious day at Lonato last year, where he returned Birolart to the top of the World Championship for the first time this century. And it was wonderful to see all of the hard work of Ronnie Sala and everybody within the Birolart group finally pay off. Now he is here with the Ricardo Kart brand, a name that means an awful lot to him personally. He wanted to challenge for the title aboard a Ricardo Kart chassis. It's been a great brand over the last few seasons as it grows in strength and stature, but it has never taken a major international title. Over the course of the next half an hour, that could be about to change. But you can't deny the fact that on the fourth row of the grid are the two men who are the best prepared and the best placed to win this European title. Alessandro Orlando and Simo Puhaka have been inseparable ever since last year's final at Sarno. They battled for the title and it ended in tears on lap 2. But ever since then, even at the World Championships last year, they duelled. And at Adria last time out, it was Puhaka that won the qualifying heats and the 10 points that got with it. Orlando got 9 for coming second. But in the final, the Italian turned the tables and won the final in a sensational battle, putting Birolart back on top in the European standings. Then there were just 4 points between them. But in the crucial heats yesterday, Orlando extended his gap from 4 points to 7 points. Extended his lead from 4 points to 5 points, I should say. But crucially for him, his stablemate, Marin Kramers, closed the gap down from a 11-point deficit to a 7-point deficit. And crucially, he is 4 places up the grid from him in terms of positions on the rows. So there's a very good chance of an exciting and intense battle. It doesn't quite seem fitting that such an incredible spectacle cannot have spectators due to the current world pandemic, but we know that you're all watching at home, very excited and very much on tenterhooks to see who gets the job done in this European Championship final. And this still has all the grandeur of the spectacle, all of the elan of the challenge, and all of the expectation of an amazing showdown. As far as I can think, these guys are going to be the first FIA champions crowned in this shortened 2020 season. So it's a big moment for these guys. And obviously the first ever FIA champion in 2020 has already been crowned in KZ2. And that is the European crown for Victor Gustafsson of Sweden. And it was from adversity. He came into the final not looking like the strongest, but he fought back and reclaimed his place. Can Alessandro Orlando do similar from 7th on the grid? It will be tough, but everything about his season in 2020 has been about changing his dynamic and showing his core strength. Speaking of core strength, that man Baz Lammers has plenty of it. He's been keeping people plenty entertained during lockdown by showing everybody just how he keeps his body in shape. No matter how many tips he concedes to his opposition and his future colleagues in the world of racing, nobody can get to his level. He is the absolute blueprint for how racing drivers should be these days in any form of motorsport, never mind karting. And he is there, ready to go racing once again. He just never seems to age, Baz Lammers. He's just a complete immortal youth in this world of racing. And I think even more than some of the legends that have faded from the sport in recent years, it will be a very sad day when Baz Lammers decides that he's had enough. And we all hope that day will never come. But the racers at the front end of the field, very much the new elite. There obviously needs to be a changing of the guard from time to time, and with the absences of the likes of Marco Ardigo, Anthony Abbas and Paolo De Conto hanging up their helmets and moving on to pastures new, it's time for the new brigade of drivers to emerge. And in this 2020 season, 5 of them are bidding to become European champion. They've all made their way through the echelons of the sport. Marin Kramers and Stan Pex at the front end of the field, both out of the FIA Karting Academy trophy a few years ago. And now they are here at the top of the sport, battling for KZ's ultimate prize. Noah Milell of Sweden, another man who's been very strong as he makes his way through the echelons of the sport. As to Adrien Renaudin, a KZ2 title winner 2 years ago in the European Championship. Now he has a chance to battle for the world title 4 weeks from now. But to do that, he needs to get himself in the right frame of mind and show everybody just how strong the Sodi Kart package can be when we head to Nanato. And a decent result at Genk could be just the bandwagon they need. But with the likes of Ricardo Longhi and Jorrit Pex on the third row, anything is still possible. And the Pex brothers, Stan and Jorrit, were the fastest drivers in this morning's warm-up. So there's plenty of exciting laps ahead of us in this 23-lap final. And who knows which way it's going to go. Whoever wins this final is going to have done so by deserving it and working hard, rolling up their sleeves and punching through those barriers to get it done. But the winner of the European title, as we saw last year, the year before and the year before that, is about strength, patience, determination, and pure genius. So in the next 30 seconds, the drivers will be heading out around the circuit for their formation lap. And then they will bring it to the starting line once again for the standing start. Marin Kramers, Noah Milell, Stan Pex and Adrien Renaudin from the front. And the European Championship will be played out. Who will it be? Alessandro Irlando, Simo Puhaka, Marin Kramers, Ricardo Longhi, or Noah Milell? We are about to find out. And in the next 23 laps, the 2020 FIA Karting European KZ champion will be crowned here at the home of champions, Karting Genk. The formation that begins, the battle can commence. Marin Kramers on pole position from Noah Milell alongside him. Stan Pex and Adrien Renaudin on the second row. Ricardo Longhi and Jorrit Pex on row 3 from Alessandro Irlando and Simo Puhaka, the title leaders on row 4. Baz Lammers is on row 5. Beside him is Matteo Vigano. And then Lewis Speck will start 11th. And Fabian Federer will start from 12th position as they have managed to get his kart going. Some of the best racing drivers from across Europe now here to compete for the KZ final in the European Championship, the second weekend of the title fight. The grid may not be as plentiful as it was in Adria, but the very best drivers in the contest are still here and they are still battling for supremacy. The top 8 drivers in the points are on this grid and they all want to be as high up the order as possible. Irlando has 38 points. Puhaka has 33. Kramers has 31. If it finishes like this, Kramers, though, will be European champion with Irlando down in 7th and Puhaka down in 8th. If it were to stay that way, all Kramers would have to do is cross the line first and he will be European champion. An amazing opportunity for the Dutchman. A tough mission to get back into contention for Irlando and Puhaka. And let's not forget that Longhi and Milell still have a part to play in this. Longhi from 5th, Milell from the front row. If the Swede has all things working in his favour and he gets a victory in this one, he could snatch the title from them all. It's a long shot, but we said that last year for Jorrit Peks, and he still won the European title for the 3rd time. Never say never and never give up. That is the motto of the kart racer, particularly in the gearbox fraternity. You have no idea what's coming, and this is the race that they all want to win. The FIA Karting KZ European Championship is unlike any other race. It takes nerves of steel, pure determination, guts, guile, and an absolute passion to win. Only the best get the chance to do so, and the best are here at Karting Genk. Marin Kremers takes up his place on pole position. Noah Milel 2nd, 3rd Stan Peks, 4th Adrien Renaudin, 5th Riccardo Longhi, 6th Jorrit Peks, 7th Alessandro Orlando, 8th Simo Puhaka, 9th Baz Lammers, 10th Matteo Vigano, 11th Louis Speck, and 12th Fabian Federer. 5 drivers for the title, separated by just 16 points. Orlando and Puhaka playing catch-up. Kremers in pole position. Who's going to become the 2020 FIA Karting European Champion at the home of champions, Karting Genk? The green flag waves. The lights will come on. When they go out, we'll crown a champion. Ready? Go! Great start by Kremers. A bit of a sluggish one for Milel. Kremers gets the perfect start as Renaudin comes around the outside. Jorrit Peks dives up the inside to get into 3rd, 4th position. He's going to make it 4th because Renaudin gets boxed in, and it's a difficult start for Alessandro Orlando. Simo Puhaka's got a good one, but Orlando is down to 10th. So Puhaka is now challenging his teammate Noah Milel, but he's fighting for the title as well, so there's not going to be any favours in the Tony Kart Brigade as Orlando gets past Longhi. Poor starts for the Birillard twins, but Kremers has got a brilliant start ahead of Stan Peks, Adrien Renaudin and Jorrit Peks. Halfway around the 1st lap, and Kremers is doing exactly what he needs to do right now. He really is the best driver in KZ at the moment based on previous results. He won the World Championship in 2019. Can he win the European title to claim everything there is to win in the FIA KZ fraternity? Now Longhi and Orlando are battling together. Orlando's back up to 8th place, but as it stands, Kremers would win the title by 10 points to Alessandro Orlando. So it really is now or never for the Italian. He's got to start making up places through the field to gain more points in the championship fight. He's finally got past Baz Lammers, and now he is charging his way forward. Orlando in 8th position, trying to close up on Matteo Vigano. Jorrit Peks has now got past Adrien Renaudin, by the way. He's into 3rd position. Stan Peks challenging Marin Kremers. They come through in fine form. Stan Peks looking to get more points on the board than his teammate and brother Jorrit Peks. Oh, a bit of a moment there for Longhi. Longhi slides sideways and loses ground to both Orlando and Lammers. So that's a big problem for Longhi as he now drops to 10th position. That surely kisses his chances of the title goodbye. Jorrit Peks now closing in on Stan. They could provide a 2-pronged attack here to Marin Kremers. If they can team up and work together, they might just have enough to crush Kremers' chances here. But Kremers can't afford to lose too many points to the Peks brothers. If he splits them, he can still be the European champion, but if he drops behind them both, he'd only get the title to Orlando by a single point. So he needs to remain at the front end of this battle. So Kremers still working hard, but he knows the material. He knows the Riccardo card is strong, and he's been feeling confident here all weekend. But it's easier said than done. Adrien Renaudin tucked in behind Jorrit Peks. Milel, Puhaka, Vigano, Orlando, Lammers, Longhi, Federer and Speck. They complete lap 3. Only 20 laps left to go. It's a tough mission from here on in. Renaudin still strong in 4th position, trying to close in on Jorrit Peks. If he can split the Peks brothers, then he's got a chance of the podium here, big time now. And we know that the Sony Kart package is getting stronger. So let's see what we can achieve as we head down into the hairpin. Jorrit Peks covering the line from Renaudin. No major issues there. Marin Kremers still hanging on to this in front of Stan Peks. It is so tense at the front end of the field. Kremers has got to stay in front of at least one, if not both, of the Peks brothers, because Orlando is gaining ground now. Orlando has closed right up on Vigano and Puhaka. Puhaka in 6th, Vigano 7th, and Orlando has caught them. So now he can start picking them off one by one, but these are not going to be easy drivers to overtake. Stan Pex launches on the inside of Kramers. Kramers has got a title to win. He's not going to do anything silly. He lets Stan Pex go, and now he can be the man who chases. He still holds the lead of the European title, but that's dropped him 5 points further down, so he'll have 51 to Orlando's 46, meaning he'd win the title by just 5 points. Jorrit Pex defensive to Adrien Renaudet as Orlando gets past Vigano for 7th place. So that's another point gained for Orlando. And that makes it even more critical for Kramers not to lose another place. But Stan Pex has nothing to lose here. He can go for the victory if he wants, and it's definitely not going to cause him any headaches. So Kramers cannot afford to lose too much. Renaudet gets through on Jorrit Pex in the final turn. Milel goes side by side with Jorrit Pex, but he has to bail out. So with Orlando gaining a place, Jorrit Pex gets back on the inside of Renaudet. Milel tries to get stuck in, and this is Puhaka's chance, but he bails out of it as well. And now Orlando is tight in with his Finnish rival. This is so tense. Every single move that every driver makes could change the face of the European title fight. Kramers is staying with Stan Pex, no problem at all for the moment. As long as he stays bolted to the back bumper, he's in a good position, but he needs to get back past him to stand the best chance of beating Orlando to the title. He's 7 points behind at this moment, but he is in a good position. If he can get back past Stan Pex, he's got a chance of becoming European champion. But it's such a nail-biter. This has all the shades of Sarno last year. It has all the shades of a tough points battle. This is reminiscent of Brazil 2018 Formula 1 as well, because it's going to be a nail-biter to the last lap, as every single position will count. Kramers tries again on Pex, who holds the inside line. Down the back straight. Will Kramers bolt for the move? He knows he's got to get it done, but he also knows that he can't afford to wait around as Longhi gets past Federer, as does Matteo Vigano. Has Vigano got more problems in the Leclerc by Lennox? It looks like it's going to be yet another non-point scoring final for the Italian if he keeps on developing more problems. He curtailed the heat earlier on in the weekend with mechanical difficulties, so he's got to keep it honest. There's Orlando pressuring Simo Puhaka. They've been here a few times before already, these two. But what can Orlando do about Puhaka? Is he going to make his bid? No, Puhaka shuts the door firmly. It's as you were for the moment. But Kramers only has a 4-point advantage over Orlando and Puhaka if it stays like this. So he can really hope that Orlando is not going to gain more places, because if he does, Kramers has got to take back the lead from Stan Pex. This is so close. Pex continues to lead on lap 8 of 23. This is no ordinary race. This is to crown the European champion. And Stan Pex holds the lead from Marin Kramers, the man who is on the verge of getting it done. But if Orlando in 7th place in the 44 Birolart starts making places up, it's going to be tighter still. This also has all the shades of Brazil 2007, when you had the likes of Raikkonen, Alonso and Hamilton all dicing for the title with a couple of points apart. Here comes Orlando, big move on Puhaka, he gets it, and Lammers gets by as well. That's the biggest move of the championship thus far for Orlando. He slices past Puhaka, and that gains him another point. So that brings him one step closer to retaining the lead of the championship. It's a big moment in this European title fight. And Orlando has gained a place, so he's up to 6th. Lammers is up to 7th, and that drops Puhaka back. That means that the Finnish driver's charge is slowly starting to fade away. Especially now if Longhi can get through as well. And Matteo Vigano is out of the race, I'm afraid to tell you. But Vigano is now out. Mechanical problems again for the Leclerc by Lennox. They haven't got it right here at Karting Genk. He had it nailed at Adria. But now it's back to Leonardo, back to the drawing board to see if the Italian can emulate his win in the KZ2 Super Cup in 2018 to take that to become the KZ World Champion at Leonardo. It's over for Vigano, but the European title fight rumbles on. Orlando is P6 at this moment. Fastest first sector of them all is currently held by Stan Pex. Fastest second sector is currently Marin Kramers. Fastest third sector is Baz Lammers. So it's a very close and even field, and that means that the racing is going to be ultra tight throughout. Here's Riccardo Longhi chasing Simo Pohaka. The Birolart driver wants to get one over on his rival. And Stan Pex is going to fight his way into 4th position in the Drivers' Championship with this one. Longhi gets on the inside of Pohaka. Pohaka does him straight back. Great racing between those two. And Longhi does not want to lose ground to the Finn, but he also wants to get on with this and start making up places. They're doing their best, these two, but it looks as though neither of them is going to be European champion. It looks like it's going to be between Kramers and Orlando, and the two drivers are only separated in the standings at the moment by 3 measly points. But can Kramers do enough in 2nd place behind Stan Pex to get the title won? Not if Orlando starts overtaking the likes of Millel and Renaudin. If that starts happening, then Kramers will have to settle the 2nd best. Orlando is doing everything he can. You've got to balance patience, preservation, looking after the tyres, looking after the engine as well. You don't want to push it too hard. You just got to make sure it's all fine and dandy. This is a long race. There are 12 laps still to go. You can't afford to rush this. Fastest lap of the race comes from Marin Kramers in 2nd place, closing back up on Stan Pex. He's got time to play with, but he also doesn't want to rush this. If he gets the overtaking move wrong, as Simone Cunati did in the KZ2 race, then all the dreams disappear. But look how close he's getting to Stan Pex now. Is this the moment for Marin Kramers? He is stepping up the attack. Is this going to be when he starts to make his ultimate move? You can sense that he might try something into the 1st corner, into the next lap. Stan Pex will want a decent finish to end his season, and it will be a big win for him if he can hold it. But Marin Kramers feels that if he can get into 1st position, he has a real chance to clinch this title, because Orlando would have to get into 2nd place to take it away from him. So Marin Kramers, look, he's not pushing harder than he needs to at the moment. Longhi has got past Pohaka at last. So Riccardo Longhi has now got past Simo Pohaka, and that means that the battle for 3rd place in the Drivers' Championship is going to be very tight indeed. So there is the battle. Millel, Orlando. Riccardo Longhi loses the back end of the kart a little bit through the hairpin as Marin Kramers tightens up on Stan Pex, still closer. This is a race of intrigue and suspense. Pex and Kramers doing the dance of death around this Karting Genk circuit, and they are making it such a thrilling battle. I've got goosebumps up my right shoulder. This is such a difficult race to win for every single driver in the top 6. And any one of them can still do it. Anything can change in KZ. Pex knows that Kramers is on him. Is this going to be the move? No, Kramers isn't going to do anything silly now. 2nd place is still enough. He doesn't have to win the race. He just has to stay in 2nd if Orlando is down in 6th. But Orlando is unlikely to stay down in 6th with the pace he's currently carrying. He is closing up on Renaudin and Millel as they battle for 4th position. Look, Orlando in the Birolart in the back of the train is catching, and he needs to get through. Here he comes, Orlando in 6th place. Can he catch Millel and make the move? If he does that, he then needs to get past Renaudin and make the move. If Kramers stays 2nd and Orlando moves up to 4th, Orlando becomes European champion. So Kramers has got to pass Stan Pex if he wants a sweet run to the European title. 9 laps to go. It couldn't be tighter. When is the ultimate overtaking move going to come? Kramers isn't in a position to do it yet for Stan Pex. Renaudin, Millel, Orlando. 4th, 5th, 6th. Patience. Patience, my friends. The moment will come, but you have to make sure you're in the competition, in the opportune place, in the right zone of the circuit, at the apex, to take advantage of the man in front slipping up. Renaudin is keeping this very well planted in front of Noah Millel. Millel has done everything he can to keep himself in contention for the European crown. He still has a mathematical chance of doing it, but he needs a heck of a lot of flotsam and jetsam. He dives on the inside of Renaudin. This could be a chance for Orlando to pounce, and he knows it. The Italian is going to try and make the bid on Renaudin. Renaudin defends into the final turn and gets the kart stopped in time so that Orlando can't get through. But now we need to focus on the 1st corner. Orlando swarming around. Renaudin protecting. Orlando goes for broke, and he gets there. Orlando through in a 5th position. So now is the time for the battle to resume. Unfortunately, we've lost another driver from the fray. It's Louis Speck. The German has fallen out of the race as well. So an unfortunate end to the young 15-year-old's challenge. But Orlando is up now into 5th position. And this means that he now has 49 points to Kramer's 51. If he can pick off one more driver, then Orlando could be European champion. They will tie for points, but on countback, it would go to Orlando. But he's got a lot of work to do now to catch up to Noah Milel, who has stretched out a bit of a gap. 7 laps to go, and I can't believe how close it's come down to. This is nail-biting stuff. If you're a Birolart fan, you really don't know who to cheer for at the moment, because they are in the same stable, they're in the same awning. Both part of the Birolart racing team. Marin Kramer's on the Ricardo chassis, and Alessandro Orlando on the Birolart. They are very good friends, and they are colleagues in that particular stable, but both of them are absolutely determined to win the European title. They've both come very close in the past, but this is their best shot, and they know that one or the other of them is going to get the job done. But there's now only 2 points between them in the Drivers' Championship. And Kramer's is setting up a move on Stan Pex. He's got a good exit out of the final turn. Is this going to be the moment? Not yet. He's still got laps to run, you see. He can't afford to dive in and get it wrong with 6 laps to run. Anything could still happen. But Kramer's is keeping Stan Pex on his toes here. Pex is protecting the inside line. Firmly enough that Kramer's can't find a gap. Smoothly enough that he's not exacerbating the rubber of the tyres. This is such a masterclass from the best racing drivers on the planet. These guys really are superhuman. And Stan Pex in front of Marin Kramer's, keeping it nice and honest. Jorid Pex is 3rd, Milel 4th, Orlando 5th, Renaudet 6th, Lammers, Longhi, Federer and Puhaka now down at the back. So Simo Puhaka in big difficulties now on the Tony Kart as he falls behind Federer. He will not become European champion, but Kramer's just might in 2nd place. Even if he stays there, if Orlando can't catch Noah Milel, he's got the job done. He's got to keep it together. He's got to keep the focus. But Orlando has got such a mission now to close up on Noah Milel. Unless one of the top 4 drops out. If that's the case, then Orlando has it nice and easy. And we know that in KZ, reliability is still an issue. It can go at any time. 4.5 laps remain. And Kramer's is still dancing around the rear fairing of Stan Pex's Kart Republic in the hope that there's going to be a gap that shows. And Kramer's can slot it up the inside line and take the victory. They come into the final turn. Kramer's looks confident in the final bend, and that's how he's able to get a good charge down the home stretch. Can he get the move on Stan Pex into the first corner? Not yet. Pex protects nicely to the inside line. He doesn't have to pass him because Orlando is in 5th, really struggling to close up on Noah Milel, and I'm not sure he's going to make it. And that would mean that Kramer's would not have to win. He could just finish 2nd. Look, there's the gap between Milel and Orlando. It's too big. Orlando needs something to happen up front. Now, if Marin Kramer's knows that, all he has to do is sit in behind Stan Pex and he can win this title by 2 points and become the rightful European champion to add to his World Championship title from last September. There is Louis Speck. His kart obviously parked up at the first corner. Mechanical problems for the German today. Unfortunate, but he's shown his cards here, the 15-year-old in his first KZ campaign. The teenager has been awesome in his first KZ campaign. He's done a great job. Now look at this. We've got 2x2 hurrah all the way down the field. We've got Pex and Kramer's, Pex and Milel, Orlando and Renaudet, Lammers and Longhi, and Federer and Puhaka. It literally is 2x2 hurrah with 3 laps to go. And I'm sorry, Alessandro Orlando fans, I'm not sure this is going to work out in your favour because Marin Kramer's just has to stay there in 2nd. Orlando is not getting close enough to Pex and Milel. However, if Pex and Milel, that's Jorid Pex and Noah Milel behind, start battling, Orlando has a chance on the last lap or so to get himself back into a title-winning position. This could go down to the final lap of the season. And Marin Kramer's knows that. He doesn't want to take too many chances, but he also doesn't want to risk staying in 2nd place in the possibility that it's not enough. Renaudet's getting on with Orlando, though. So is he going to make his bid on the inside? No, Orlando holds the inside line. No major crises at the moment, but Kramers is a lap and a half away from claiming the European title, and he may not have to get past Stan Pex to get the job done. If Jorrit Pex and Noah Milel start dueling for third position, then he's got a shot. These two are the critical players in this European title fight. So Pex and Kramers, first and second. Jorrit Pex and Noah Milel, third and fourth, and Alessandro Irlando in fifth. If it stays like this, Kramers is champion by 2 points. But there's still a lap to go, and anything can happen here at Karting Genk. Out on the final turn, back on the power. Irlando's still struggling to keep Renaudin at bay. Last lap, and Irlando is having to defend from the Frenchman. As they come through to the first corner, Irlando holds the inside line, and I do not think he's going to have enough in the tank. And Kramers seems to have given himself a bit of breathing space to Stan Pex. He won't mind losing the race because Stan Pex can take the victory as far as he's concerned. It's not going to be a big problem to him, and he's not going to lose sleep over a first place trophy at all. As Irlando defends to Renaudin, he's dropping further back away from the top 4. Jorrit Pex is still third from Noah Milel, but it looks as though Stan Pex is going to get a well-deserved victory at Karting Genk, and the Dutchman behind him is going to add the European title to his World Championship success. Out of the final turn, Stan Pex wins at Karting Genk, but the European champion is Marin Kramers. Magnificent! A few short weeks ago, Marin Kramers was never even slated to be karting this season, but he has done so, and he's claimed the European Championship by just 2 measly points to Alessandro Irlando. The Italian gave his best, but it wasn't quite enough. Look at that from the stablemates, and this is a nice gesture coming from Irlando. He congratulates his teammate. What a brilliant sporting gesture. Stan Pex wins the race. Kramers wins the title. Jorrit Pex is third. From Noah Milel, Alessandro Irlando, Adrian Renaudin and Baz Lammers, Ricardo Longhi, Fabian Federer and Simo Pohaka. The retirements are Louis Speck and Matteo Vigano. The party starts now for Birolart. In the last 12 months, they have claimed the World and European Championships in KZ with the talented young Dutchman, Marin Kramers, who is savouring the slowdown lap. He's taking longer than anybody to come in. In just 12 months, Marin Kramers has claimed every title there is to win in KZ racing. He is the European and World Champion, and now he is surely the greatest gearbox racer in the world right now. Brilliant job from Marin Kramers, world and now European champion. You guys can have a look at the highlights from an amazing final, but we're going to head down to an all-Dutch podium. How fitting here at Karting Genk, a circuit that has seen so much Dutch success over the years. It is going to be an all-Netherlands podium at the Dutch end of Belgium. What a wonderful result, as the Pex brothers will join the new European champion on the podium here at Karting Genk.
Every day, 3,500 lives are lost on roads around the world. Driving can be dangerous, but there are simple rules we can follow that will make our roads safer and save lives. Slow down for kids. Don't text and drive. Always pay attention. Obey the speed limits. Stop when you're tired. Never drink and drive. Check your tires. Rules keep us alive.
Your life is in your hands. Respect the rules.
So it is time to crown our European champion and also bring our drivers to the podium here in the KZ European Championship final at Karting Genk in Belgium. Let's welcome our three drivers to the podium. In third position for the Netherlands, Jorrit Pex. And in second position, also for the Netherlands, Marin Kremers. And your race winner, also for the Netherlands, Stan Pex! And we welcome to the podium your race-winning team manager for KR Motorsport, Richard Pex! And now, in reference to our three drivers on the podium, and of course our race winner, Stan Pex, the national anthem for the Netherlands. And of course, to our race-winning driver, also for the Netherlands, Stan Pix! And of course, to our race-winning team manager for Car Republic Motorsport, to Richard Pix! We invite our drivers to raise their trophies and bouquets of flowers aloft, and of course the winning team manager as well for the photographs as we celebrate our amazing podium here in the last round of the European Championship from the FIA Karting KZ title. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome once again Jorrit Pix, Marin Kramers, and your race winner, Stan Pix! A fabulous way to round off the European Championship with a new European champion as well in Marin Kramers, and it all leads to the next encounter for the FIA Karting KZ fraternity, and that is the Championship of the World in Lonato 4 weeks from now. We can't wait to see these drivers battle away once again for the Championship of the World. Our FIA Karting journey takes us to Procart Raceland at Wackersdorf next weekend as the OK and Junior European Championships conclude. But from me, from everybody here at Karting Genk, the home of champions, it's been another wonderful weekend. We thank you all for joining us. It really has been a sensational day at the races, and we can't wait to come back. Thank you, and see you next time.
Every day, 3,500 lives are lost on roads around the world. Driving can be dangerous, but there are simple rules we can follow that will make our roads safer and save lives. Slow down for kids. Don't text and drive. Always pay attention. Obey the speed limits. Stop when you're tired. Never drink and drive. Check your tires. Rules keep us alive.
Your life is in your hands. Respect the rules.